What up, though? One Pride. This is the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, a podcast where one pride goes worldwide. My name is Anthony Fitzpatrick. I'm joined this evening by Ashley Soden, and it is time for our 2026 free agency preview, readering the room. Yes, 2025 may not have started by this point yet, but the process of building a roster, cap, all that is a 260 or whatever, an everyday a year job. We have to look at this, and every season before we get to the main season, we talk about the impending free agent class, what we want to see from them if they're going to get some new deals, and potentially who we want to see coming forward, because again, the grind never stops. So hope you are all well. Hope you're all doing better than Ash. Ash has had a little bit of a traumatic weekend. Hopefully, Ash, you have a nice evening where you can sit down, chill, and not get run over by trolleys.
Yeah, true. Hence my title on this week. You guys all know what I'm like with my stupid titles. But yeah, shout out to the lady who, while I was talking to the other very nice lady at Sainsbury's when I was checking out, decided to, be reading her receipt rather than where she was looking, and decided to ram her trolley right where the sun does not shine. So was that a sprained shoulder / neck from playing flag football this weekend, where we only had 6 players for a 5-a-side game. So I was running around a hell of a lot. I'm a battered and bruised man right now, but time to rest up. Maybe see some physical therapists. Maybe retire from the game like Frank, and tank certain teams' PFF offensive line ranking to the point where it's stupid, and having 2 teams above us that shouldn't be, at least. Shout out to PFF as well then.
So it's not just the Lions players that are getting banged up, it's the Lions fan base as well. It's a rite of passage at the minute. If you support the Lions, you've got to be injured, just like the players, in solidarity with them. I've got a plantar injury at the moment, so I've been hobbling around for the last 3 months on my ankle. It's not going away, so it's the price we pay for being part of One Pride. But anyhow, hope you are all well on what is another beautiful day over here in the UK. It's been like 3 months of unbroken, pretty much sunshine over here, and it's going to be one of our hottest weeks yet, so for bald guys like me, this is not good. It is bad. I'm inside, but yeah, it's been absolutely scalding hot over here. But yeah, we don't get the sun too much often, so not gonna complain. I know Mal Marker is in the building. He goes, "Howdy, friends," and he says, "Ouch, Ash," sympathising with you a bit there. Carlton Wood is in the building. Hope you're all doing well, and thank you to everyone else who's watching us this evening. As always, if you've got questions as the evening goes on, then just let us know and we'll get to them, because we've just got the one topic on the docket today. As mentioned, this is all about 2026 free agency, but let's just get all the housekeeping bits out the way first. Roar of the Lions UK Discord. If you want in on that, let us know. We will send you a link for that. The College Football Podcast with myself and Rye. We will be back on Wednesday. I think this week, not quite decided what we're doing yet, but we'll have that up very shortly. If you didn't check last week's show, good one. We checked out centres in the upcoming draft, so it's good class. A lot of people you want to look out for this coming year there, so do go check that out, and we'll be back with you Wednesday. Don't forget to like and sub to everything, Twitch, YouTube, all that good stuff. Your support really means the world to us. We're part of Lions Nation Unite as well, so if you could support them as well, that would be great. We're an affiliate on Twitch, monetized on YouTube. We've got a tip jar, so if you want to help that way, great. And I need to shout out Brent, because he tipped us on our college football pod video the other day. We weren't live when that happened, so thanks for that, Brent. Really appreciate it. But we just love having you in the building to chat with first and foremost. As always, we got the feedback form as well, so if you want to fill that in, any things about the shows, anything like that, let us know. We shall take that on board. Right. Oh, and Brent is in the building as well. He goes, De Bears OL ranked number 4 PFF. Oh, someone's been reading the article. I didn't have it in here, but yes. I feel like my crusade of anti-PFFness over the year gets more justified as it goes along. This has been a long-running hatred thing, so maybe we'll have a look at that some point today as well. Lions were ranked 13th, which was a load of balderdash. Right, let's get into some news first before we get to the free agency stuff. Not too much going on at the minute, but first off, we just want to give a big shout out to one of our good friends, the most adequate host you will ever find in Detroit Lions fandom and in the podcasting world, Chris Perfett. He mentioned on his socials earlier today that after 10 years with Pride of Detroit and the podcast, he is leaving for Fields Anew eventually. So, we just want to send a big shout out to him. He's been a guest here on the show with us. He's shouted us out loads in the past. He's given this podcast a ton of help. So whatever you do next, Chris, we're rooting for you, and of course any support we can give, we absolutely will do that. And don't worry, everybody, he is on our Discord, so as soon as he said this, we all started harassing him to make sure he'd come back on the show going forward, and he's agreed to do so. So you will still see him with us from time to time as well. But yeah, appreciate all the work you've done for us there, Chris. Ash, don't know if you want to say anything.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, even if it's, randomly shouting me out with my random FSU fascination when they were doing the cornerback preview this draft cycle, the times he's hopped on the draft streams, including a time when a certain person on this panel was doing shots for subs and had to go to sleep a bit early, and we stayed up and watched the Lions draft Antoine Green, being a very, very good friend to the show. Even when the Pride of Detroit podcast got kind of shut down temporarily last year, shouted us out as an alternative to people to listen to. He's been a damn good friend of the show, and even if it's me who has to pay for the little rum rider he has for us to appear on the show, I'll happily pay it if it means he comes back on. Yes,
there we go. We're planning a rum podcast with him now, just because we all love of the voracious spirit. I'm a big rum fan, apparently he is as well. So, but yeah, you'll see Chris with us, and I say best of luck to you, Chris, in everything you are doing. Bobo Lan is in the building. Hope you are well, Bobo Lan. So in terms of bits of news, so we got some rankings and bets and stuff coming out this week. So the NFL Top 100 has started to be released, and I looked the other day, and it's like, it's not going to be announced number one till the 1st of September. I do not know why it's getting dragged over 3 months. It's just a pain in the arse. But anywho, the first 12 have been announced. There is one Lion on the list thus far. As I say, they've gone up to 88, which I believe they announced today. And that is tight end Sam Laporta. He has been voted in at number 94, which is a drop of 14 spots from his number 80 ranking last season. Obviously, sophomore year in the NFL for Sam. The yardage went down. I'm not sure it was ever really sustainable, but for me, the importance for him to this team did not diminish in any way, shape or form, but people love their stats and that. But Sam, rightly so, Ash, even if it's technically a down year on his stats, to still be in the top 100 in the NFL at the tight end position as well, it's still a badge of honour for our Sam here, and he's hopefully going to be the first of many.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I know he had to slow starts to the season this past one, partly supposedly due to injury, but also probably just because he got the Travis Kelce, George Kittle kind of treatment, where teams saw what happened with him in his rookie season, decided we're going to double cover him, which obviously meant he wasn't as open as he usually is. And obviously we all know Goff likes his receivers to be able to throw to him with the timing and that. But throughout the season, you can see him work on that other way to get separation, the Kenny Golladay method of separation, so we say, rather than the Amon-Ra separation of route running. Contested catches, just look at the grab he got against the Commanders as the prime example of that, and maybe that's why he's gotten in when he had a sophomore slump and other tight ends probably had better statistical seasons, just because maybe of that recency bias, but also the fact he's playing on a good team. Like, you go back 10 years ago, say, to perhaps the last time he had a good team, because spoiler alert, I think this week's guess the defense, which they actually called a defense this time by the Lions official thing. I think it is 2016 with Nevin Lawson at cornerback, which is great. Little pre-watershed flashback for you guys. But back then, we'd be lucky to have Stafford and maybe a receiver on there. The fact that we've got Laporta on there, but we've still got Kirby, Branch, Penny, Aiden should hopefully be on there, Amon-Ra, Gibbs, so many guys, Goff, that can all be on there. It's nice to see.
Yeah, we could be looking at 8 or 9 guys potentially. But yeah, well done to Sam. He is the first of the Lions on the top 100, and as this vote is very slowly done out, we should keep updating you on where these guys come. Right, next up, there is a new award in the NFL this year, and quite rightly so, because there's a group of guys who get forgotten about all the time and do not get the flashy awards, despite doing some of the most work on the team. Obviously, the new Protector of the Year award is out in the NFL, and that is the award given to the best offensive lineman performance over the course of the season in the NFL. The initial odds have been dropped for this, and there is one outstanding favourite to win this year. You know who it is already, right? He's one of us. Penei Sewell, one of the best tackles in the NFL, period. If he stays healthy over the year, Ash, it almost feels a lot like someone was going to have to put in superhuman effort to get this away from him. But I think Penei's very much earned this nod to be the front runner for the first version of the Protector of the Year.
He definitely has, but again, going back to the Twitter debate of the past couple of weeks, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't win it just because people look at the PFF pass blocking grades and that, and the way they track it, because unfortunately the name of it, Protector of the Year, it will probably go to the guys that have the least sacks and least pressures on the year, and unfortunately there will be a guy that will probably get that just because Penei will be in a highlight because he's the favourite, he's in the spotlight, everyone will be looking to nitpick him. So any little slip up he makes, even if it's not his fault, let's say, I don't really put it into the universe, but let's say whichever rookie's beside him at right guard, if it is a rookie, they do what Kevin Zeitler did week 1 of the Rams last year, where he just misses a stunt and suddenly it looks like Penei's given up a sack. That is going to be nitpicked to the nth degree by the national media, but then someone who's not on Penei's level, but doesn't get tracked with giving up those sacks, they probably get the vote over Penei unfairly, unfortunately. So while right now everyone is quite rightly putting him as the favourite, he probably won't win it, unfortunately, until the sort of media fascination of him being a better run blocker than pass blocker, which yes is true, but it's not like a massive golfing difference. We're not talking like the difference between having Ronaldo up front for Man United and having Rasmus Højlund up front for United. There is, it's a closer gap. We're talking, going from Rasmus Højlund up front to having Marcus Rashford up front. That's like the lesser gap.
We're going a little bit niche there, indeed. Penei, favourite for Protector of the Year, and hopefully he plays well enough that he's able to get that. We're going to need him to, with all the rookies on the line this year. And then the other one we've got, so it was just today, ESPN released one of their surveys where they rank high, where they ask high-ranking executives, front office personnel around the league about specific position groups in the NFL. They did running backs this time and about the rankings, and Jahmyr Gibbs, our superstar, he came in third. So all the execs around the NFL, all these guys cumulatively voted him into third place as the third best running back in the NFL, behind just Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry. Our other featured guy, David Montgomery, did get some votes, but did not ultimately make the cut. As far as Gibbs goes, Ash, I don't think we can complain about this. Like, Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry have been in a league of their absolute own now for years, and we know how talented they are. I feel like that's very reflection. And to be honest, it's still quite a compliment for Gibbs to be so high. But with David, I don't know. Over the last 5 years, he has the 6th most rushing touchdowns in the league. He's got 1,000+ yards from scrimmage every single season. I feel like there are guys who have flashier seasons than him individually, but I think in terms of consistent running backs who are high level, I do feel like he should be in that. I feel like our David's getting slighted whilst Jahmyr is getting the love that he deserves.
Tiny bit, yeah. Like, you look at the guys that were between Gibbs and Monty with the honourable mentions, and yeah, there's a few guys that deserve to be in there on track records. We're talking number 4 was Bijan, number 5 was CMC, Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey, obviously, when he's healthy, has the ability to be the best back in the league. That's fair. Josh Jacobs, former rushing leader, got a good offense line in Green Bay, is their lead dog there, gets a load of yards. That's fair. But then you start looking at some of the other guys. Alvin Kamara, okay, yeah, he's probably the only weapon on that Saints offense that he will get the toe to the rock. He did last year. He's a good receiving back, but he's probably on there in reputation. James Cook is on there. Again, damn good, playing on a damn good team with the Bills, but surely it says something if the team that he plays for isn't valuing him the same way that we value David. But the funniest one is obviously that you could tell that Adam Rank was a voter on this because DeAndre Swift got a vote as well, and someone had to put Gibbs 9th. You called yourself, you've made it too obvious, Adam. Come on, like, at least put put one or the other. Either give Swift the votes and put Gibbs in a fair place, or try and downvote Gibbs, but take off the Bears tinted glasses and don't vote for Swift, because it's just made it obvious that you were part of the panel now, and you're gonna get tagged to hell when Gibbs, I dare I say, doubles the odds from scrimmage that Swift's going to get this year. Won't be surprised.
Yeah, one of the voters had Jahmyr Gibbs as the 9th best running back in the NFL. So, yeah, I think you can narrow that down to a few potential suspects as to who is going to do that. But, but Jahmyr gets his flowers at 3, and we love that. But we all know how good David is, and if they want to continue to disrespect him, then fine. I guess the last one to mention is, Brent's already mentioned it there, the PFF put out their offensive line rankings for the upcoming season today, and I mean, the retirement of Frank has really knocked us down a peg in terms of how people view us round the league. We got ranked 13th, so we're barely middle of the pack here. We're just a bit above the middle of the pack, despite the fact that we still have 2 bookend tackles, despite the fact we have one of the best offensive line coaches in the league, and at worst you've got one very reliable veteran in there as well. Yes, you're going to have a couple of rookies, but if your veterans work in centre, you've got a couple of rookie guards in, which traditionally is the easiest place to slot in rookies on the line. That feels very... It's a view from people who don't understand Detroit football, I think, Ash. They don't understand how we play, the players that we pick, how good Mahogany looked last year, even in a small sample size. Just feel like they've just gone, oh, the star's gone, and obviously Zeitler's gone, despite the fact he's 36 years old. It's still great, but he's 36. When he hits a cliff, they're going to go straight off that damn thing. And then you look at a team like the Chicago Bears, who are on there, who get ranked 4th when both our tackles are better than theirs, I think considerably by some distance. And then you've paid for an interior of a slightly above average centre, a very injury prone guard, and with due respect, a very good guard who's a Super Bowl winner in there as well. But, you know, you're just taking into account numbers and stats there, not units, cohesion, coaching, anything else like that. It seems a very unfair comparison, and we've been really harshly dealt with.
Yeah, 100%. Like you're right. You pretty much nailed what their description was. So what they said was, perhaps no unit is expected to drop off more in 2025 than the Lions' offensive line. The perennial top 10 unit endured several changes this offseason, losing Frank Ragnow and Kevin Zeitler to retirement and free agency, respectively. Christian Mahogany, a 2024 6th round pick, is slated to start at wild guard spot, and a rookie will likely take the other guard's role. Detroit still boasts arguably the best running block right tackle in the league in Penei Sewell. There's that run blocking thing again. But the interior might hold back this unit. Fair enough. You can't really disagree with that, though obviously the several implies more than 2, just by the way of like verbiage, but whatever. But then you look at the number 1 ranked one, which is obviously the Eagles. 2 of their starters per PFF did not rank well last year. So you've got Cam Jurgens at centre, who got a 65.6 grade from them, which is 14th. And then Tyler Steen at right guard, 40.7, 75 out of 77 guards. That's number 1. Yes, okay, yes, you've got Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dixon ranks fairly okay at left guard. But they have holes. Denver Broncos, number 2. They have holes. Buffalo Bills, number 3. Fair. Then you get to the Bills at number 4, where we've got both tackles are better. So the Bears even point out, the description of the Bears points out Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright, who finished both finished among the 22 highest graded offensive tackles in 2024. Ours ranked higher. And then you're saying about, oh yeah, traded for Joe Tooney is the best pass blocking guard in the NFL. Fair enough. Drew Dolman ranked among the top 5 in position PFF overall graded as pass Susans. Fair enough. Then you're carrying on Jonah Jackson. So if you're saying that you don't trust our volatility with starting someone, why are you trusting the volatility of bringing all these pieces in, expecting them to work, etc., etc.? It is just an unfair ranking. You just look through, and hell, I might even argue that the Packers at 14 is underrated.
Yeah.
And I hate giving the Packers their flowers, but they're underrated. Why are the 49ers ranked above us when, okay, Trent Williams, great. They've got question marks along the rest of the line. Like, okay, yeah, Donnie Pumi did okay last season, but they've lost Aaron, they've lost quite a few of their other starters. How are the Panthers 11th?
Yeah.
Their whole thing, their whole reason that everyone thinks the offensive line's going to the offense is going to get better is because suddenly the offensive line's worked out to pass protect from Bryce Young. That's what's held them back. Why are you trusting the potential that can happen rather than the set thing that we've got one of the best offensive line coaches in the league, a fairly good left tackle, yet okay, is in a world beater like a Jordan Mailata, like a Trent Williams on his heyday, but it's damn good, consistent. One of the best right tackle in the league. Like, I know Lane Johnson's up there, but I'm trusting the fact that Penny is just going to be around. Like, he's still got the athleticism. Okay, and then Mahogany, who graded out really well as well. If you point out Dominic Pooney graded out well with his limited starts, why aren't you doing the same with Mahogany? So yeah, as much as I love PFF, and they released another article today that I actually really like. So it was looking at how NFL defenses move their defensive line pieces around and how that improves their defenses, and the Lions ranked higher on that, and so did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Checked our Discord for that, so the TLDR and the link to that, because it's actually a really damn good article. For every one article you have like that, that's actually a good use of their stats and their metrics, and that you have shit like this that just drags it down.
Yeah, you've got to take coaching into account. Like, the Packers and ours coaching is superior to their offensive lines. Like, the Packers, they've got a seventh rounder playing left tackle. They got Elton Jenkins, who's the best utility man in the league. They find a way. Life finds a way there, as it does with us. And, you know, Chicago just hasn't developed a lineman for nothing in years. And it's like, yeah, they might have better talent on paper, but we got better coaching. Our guys are going to get better quicker. Our scheme's better. Our offenses are better. But anywho, you know, it is by the by. As I say, it's PFF. You take it with a grain of salt. Brent goes, Ash got rear-ended. Hope it's not Women's Day in England, a la Deadpool. I can't believe I'd ever hear Brent, you know, quoting Deadpool to me. That I feel like, you know, well done, Brent. You know, round of applause there. But yeah,
I love that
reference. He got rear-ended by a trolley. Wait, is it called a trolley over there?
Shopping cart?
Oh, is it shopping cart? We call them trolleys here, so he got rear-ended by a shopping cart by an old lady, so that was funny. When I saw the title, I burst out laughing like the big man-child I am, so... Anywho, yeah, let's get into the reason we're here tonight, and as we mentioned, though, the 2025 season has not started yet, but the process of building a roster, you know, it never ends. You're always looking ahead to next year, the next window, what you do, you know, especially when it comes to your cap situation, you got to see who's coming up to free agency. Are there any players you're going to have to ship before the deadline to get something before them because you're not going to pay for them? There's all these things in there. And as we do every year, we take a look at our upcoming free agent class, guys who are coming in to take a look at the players and, you know, do we think they're going to stay here? What do they need to do to stay here? Just making observations. So we're going to go through the free agency list for this year, have a look at the guys, you know, talk about their future, what they need to do if they want to stay here. Do we think they're going to stay? All that good stuff. For the main guys, anyhow, like when you get to the practice squatters and that, we can go through them quick. And then afterwards, we're going to present you our list of names from the rest of free agency around the NFL, guys who are slated to hit next year at this point, who we might be interested in bringing in if we get there at that point. So it's just like our pre-free agency thing. And then, of course, we do it again at the end of the year as well. And, of course, they'll let us know your thoughts about the players, what you see them doing, whether you want to keep them, all that good stuff there. So let's kick this off, and you know, I was able to shoehorn the most valuable guy into the name of the show today. But obviously, our biggest free agent slated going into next year. And yes, mile marker, I will keep saying the names so you know where we're at. I'm not as organised as Matt. I've not got one of his soundboard things. So first up on the slate, most expensive player heading to free agency from the Lions next year thus far is DJ Reader, our nose tackle, well, our defensive tackle. Obviously, we brought him in on a big contract last year. He came in injured, took a bit of time to get going into the season, but eventually managed to make his mark on this team. And you know, this is going into a very big year for him now. We've got Noah Leem till at least November, you know, probably looking towards December before he's fully healthy and fit and firing. And we've got a load of guys in around him who are on one-year contracts, who, you know, are on rookie deals. Like, we need this to be the guy. So he's averaging about 11 million per year. He's heading into his age 32 year, and I think we've discussed him a little bit at length already, because with the Lions having to invest so much money into their young players and to what are going to be big contracts going forward, like these these level deals, like the $8 to $15 million deals you have going forward, they're the difficult ones to keep your roster going because you've got so much at the top. You've got to be a bit more prudent at the bottom, and these ones in the middle, very, very scrutinised. I mean, in terms of DJ, obviously he needs to have a great year here, but what do we think about him obviously this year, bringing him back potentially next year? Is there a scenario, is there anything he can do this year to justify keeping him past age 32, or is this just a, pray that he comes good year, maybe puts himself in the window? What do we think with DJ?
I think it's gonna be the latter, unfortunately. Like, I think the biggest thing he can do for us in terms of best outlook for the future is be that sounding board for our first round rookie in Tyreek Williams, show him the ropes of being an NFL defensive tackle, and then at the end of the year, we hope he's played well enough that he gets another big contract elsewhere, and we play the comp pick game with him, because you've got Aleem coming back hopefully near the end of the season. He should hopefully live up to his contract. We've just drafted a guy who basically plays the same style as DJ Reader in the first round entire league. We've obviously got Broderick Martin, who's admittedly on his last sort of chance here in the team, but he's still got him. We've got Roy Lopez. We've got Levi. We've got a couple of guys who are younger than him based on the roster who could have long-term futures here. Obviously, Tyreek and Aleem definitely do, and hopefully Levi does as well. So, we've got to get cheaper and younger at the position. But this year, him rotating with Tyreek, showing him what to do, just being that good sounding board, and just being a nice solid veteran who may get like 2 sacks, 15 to 20 run stops, good couple of tackles, takes up double teams, opens up things for everyone else. That's all we can really ask for him, because unfortunately, just because of the way our cap situation is, as you said, with potentially big extensions coming for Aiden, Branch, JMO, all these guys, potentially Levi as well, if he balls out, he should earn a big pay packet as well. We just can't afford to keep him around at this age. So unless it's he's still hanging around this time next year, he hasn't really signed on somewhere, we can get him for a cheaper veteran style deal like we did with Kevin Zeitler last year. I just don't see him back in Honolulu Blue in the 2026 season, unfortunately. So play well, teach Tyreek. That's the best thing you can do for us, DJ.
Mark says, I like Reader, hope he has a great year. Yeah, for me, he's one of those rare ones. He's in terms of going forward with the Lions, it feels like he's in between a rock and a hard place. Like, obviously, we need him to have a really good year, given the rooks that are in there and Liam been hurt. But if he has a really good year and plays really well, then as we've mentioned, he's pricing himself out of coming back here. Again, you're going into year 33, you're going into your age 33 year next year. It's just too much for us and what we're at. But then if he has, let's just say, an average year and does okay, then I don't think I want to keep him because of the money we've given him, and he would have probably under-delivered on the value we've got at that point, and then I wouldn't even want to think about keeping him going forward. I feel like the only solution to this is if he has a really good year, we end up getting really close to the Super Bowl, and he goes, you know what, let's take 1 year, let's take a smaller amount of money, maybe a big amount of guaranteed money, something like that, and let's go round for the last one, and I'll be part of the rotation with Aleem, Tyreek, etc. I feel like that's the only way in which he might stay here, but I think to get to that, like, one scenario, it's a very, very difficult route and requires a lot to go right.
Yeah, I can see it, especially if the thing that, again, we have teased on this podcast for quite a while, and it could happen. We move to more of those multiple fronts, and having someone like DJ Reader would be good, because then you could start playing all the matchup games, what we just refer to in the PFF article. But it's just that range of possibilities that happen is so slim that I always don't want to pin my hopes. Obviously, I just don't want to pin my hopes on it. So unfortunately, the thing I'm pinning my hopes on is, as I said, comp pick game with him, because that's what the good teams do, unfortunately.
Yeah, hopefully, like, the Bears will come and overpay for him or something, and to do us a solid on that one. Brent goes, how many more years can Reader play effectively, and is he a possible future assistant coach? Seems to be a great culture fit. Now, I can't speak to the player. I don't really know that much about him in terms of his coaching aspirations and that. I guess he is he is just 32 right now. So, I mean, what D tackles? He can go up to about maybe, 34, 35? What's Vita Vea up at the minute? 35? But I think he's a ridiculously healthy...
Vea's not that old. Vita
Is he not that very old? Who am I thinking of?
Vita Vea's like 30 max.
Oh, is he?
Vita Vea is, 30.
I'm thinking of someone else. I don't know. What do you reckon? I don't think as a front piece earning 10 million a year, I feel like this, and maybe next year or your last year's, I don't think any more than 2 years you'll be earning the money you are now. I think as an effective rotational piece, you could probably go 3 more, maybe 4. He's quite a big guy, and I know he's had little injury niggles here and there, so I think the effectiveness on his wage packet right now is at most 2 years. As a rotation, potentially 3. I mean, coaching... Sorry, go on.
Coaching. Yeah, so coaching-wise, again, we can't predict. I know that's always going to be a thing with us now. Whenever a older player retires, the first question, as we saw with Frank, is, do they want to be an assistant coach? Just because that's how our coaching staff is. Look at Sean Dion Hamilton. Was with us the first year, retired after training camp, became assistant linebackers coach. Look at now, he's our linebackers coach. But the one guy I'm looking at, and maybe this is the guy you were thinking of, was Fletcher Cox.
Yeah.
He obviously retired last off season.
I think he was about 36,
at age 33.
Oh, 33. Bloody hell.
So he's 34 now. He was born December the 13th, 1990.
Trouble with DTs is you take that much hard contact during your career, it's very hard to go much longer past that, because you're literally, and you're the one at the bottom of the scrum every single time as well. So I imagine it's not easy. And
his body's already shown that it's starting to break down. The fact that he's torn both quad muscles already. He's had a partially torn pec in his career as well.
Yeah.
Your body just starts to degrade, especially as you say at that weight. Like if it was a lighter position, like cornerback, safety, then maybe we could say he could feasibly play as a rotational player till 35, 36 if the speed's there. But because, as you say, the linemen just get so much impact on them, play after play. They're the ones that don't really rotate. Yeah. Well, obviously Reader does. I think he played like 60% of our snaps last season. But in terms of just every single snap, he's going to be taking on someone, getting punishment.
Yeah.
I would not begrudge him at all if at the end of this contract,
he retired.
If we do win the Super Bowl, he retired. I would not disagree with that at all, because fair play to the guy. He has had a very good career as well. Houston, Cincinnati before us. He's played for some good defense. He's got some stats, got some honors, and he's well respected around the league as well. Like quite a lot of people like him. So
all the Bengals fans were devastated, weren't they? Like,
yeah,
I remember them. They were devastated when he left. So, I mean, as far as players know, they know that if you want to come as a coach to Detroit, it's probably one of the best places to come. Right? You'll start at a positional job or something. You'll work your way through. We've got an example of that defensive coordinator right now. So we've got a bunch of guys around the league who have got promotions this year. So, even if it's not with us, as other teams, we don't begrudge them going. So, DJ is going to be an interesting one. Aaron S. in the comments, he goes, I know better players result in better comp picks, but how is that decided? Never thought about that before. It could be how much they get paid instead of stats. It's not stats based, it's money based. So
it's money and play time.
It's money and play time, and then it's volume of money. So if you, it is confusing. So it's all about it's all about give and take. If you let's say you let someone go into free agency and they get an $18 million a year a contract somewhere elsewhere, that'll get you a high comp pick. But if you then bring in another free agent and you pay him $18 million a year as a contract, a big contract, those two void each other out. It's about how much you give and how much you get, the official rules are. But it's not to do with stats, it's about to do with money and playtime. How much playtime have you lost through free agency? And obviously how much money have the players gone for? Because the money does signify the importance of that player. Unless they go to Green Bay where they just grossly overpay for mediocre players.
Yeah. So if you want to read up on basically how comp picks are done, Over the Cap have a very good page that number one tracks roughly who's getting what currently. So like 2026 are this upcoming ones that are projected. The top one in terms of projected comp picks is Sam Darnold with the Vikings. then the Pittsburgh getting one for Dan Moore, Philadelphia getting one for Milton Williams, then us getting Aaron Glenn. But if you go into that, they do have an explainer that basically goes through the bit of the CBA that dictates how a composite free agent is decided and how they work out, because obviously they have to know how the formula works to predict it. So it's worth a good read. Like, I have read it a couple of times before, just as they're about to be announced, to understand how things work. But yeah, just have a sit down with that. It's about 5-10 minute read, and it pretty much tells you all you need to know. But right now, all you need to know pretty much for us is that we're only ones we're guaranteed to get for the next couple of years is probably the Aaron Glenn ones, because if you sign a player, it counts out equitable ones. So we were supposed to get one for, I think it was, yes, we were supposed to get one for Iffy, but signing Grad Stewart cancelled that out, so we're not getting the comp pick from Iffy, etc., etc.
Yeah. So Aaron goes, oh, interesting. Never realised they cancelled out to rewards good drafting teams a lot more. Yeah, and
exactly.
And then, because what the comp pick is, it's meant to help you if you're set backwards. So if you lose a player for a lot of money and you can't bring another guy in, that comp pick is there to even the playing field with you. Mm-hmm. So that's how the formula works there. Obviously, the only exception to this in terms of players is coaches. It's not the Rooney Rule, is it? It's the other one where if you develop a minority coach, if he's on your staff for a minimum of 2 years, and you develop a minority coach and he goes on to a bigger job, I believe it's got to be coordinator or above. Is it just head coach?
It's just head coach. So if you have someone in, and it's not just coaches, it's also front office personnel, which is why the past couple of years, people like me, like Eric Schlitt, Jeff Risdon have all been pointing out Ray Agnew as someone who could become a GM because he's been with us for 2 years. Just like with Aaron Glenn, if he does get a GM job, which surprisingly hasn't happened yet, but if he does, then again we will get the two third round comp picks for the next 2 years. That's how San Francisco have had so many over the past couple of years, because they've had Mike McDaniel, who qualified as a minority coach, Salah. They've had D'Amico Ryans, and then they've had one of their guys in the front office become a GM somewhere as well. They've got quite a lot of third round comp picks from that, and that's how they've managed to kind of keep themselves alive when they've been paying. Well, now they're going to be paying Brock Purdy on top of all this, but paying CMC, paying Trent Williams, paying Nick Bosa, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle and all that. That's how they kept themselves alive, because they've been using those third round picks pretty well.
Yeah, so that's the only exception to the player rule. Hire a minority coach into a GM or a head coach role. You get 2 third-round picks spread over 2 years. Not at the same time. Obviously, we've already given Aaron's away basically for Isaac Tesla, but at least we were able to use Aaron's picks to move up to get Tesla. That's how we were able to do that deal. So yeah, and as Ash says, there's some good articles on it. But yeah, those are the base things for you. It's money they go for, time they've played on your team, and making sure you don't cancel out by bringing in any yourself. So hopefully that answers your question, Aaron, but appreciate that. Any questions, anything you want to, go on, just let us know. We will carry on answering them. Brent goes, when we signed Reader, he said he couldn't wait to get with Broderick Martin. I guess this year we'll see if the tutoring works. Yep, big year for them both. Big year for Broderick. Obviously, DJ was hurt when he first got here. They've not played a bunch together really on the field at the minute, so hopefully we'll see a little bit more of that influence this year. But I'm still holding out for Broderick this year. Carlton goes, regarding older DTs, Steelers Cam Haywood. I think that's who I was thinking of. Yeah. He's 36, he's getting paid 16 million this year, but I think Cam Haywood, the Haywoods are absolute hard asses. That entire family are. So, not many guys can get to. Sorry.
Stick a pin in the thing about the Hayward family as a little bury the lead for later.
Oh, okay. His fullback Michigan State brother. I think mentioned it at some point. Anywho, so Aaron goes, that's how San Francisco managed to trade 1 million picks for CMC. Thanks. I believe they did use comp picks for CMC and bits like that. That's how the formula works.
I think it was the Salah. Yeah, they used some of the Salah ones as well as their first round pick.
Yeah, but yeah, if you're good with your staff, which is why it bodes well for the Lions. We've got a ton of talented staff here potentially, and was mentioned Ray Agnew is probably going to be the next at some point sooner rather than later. Anywho, let's get on with our list. I'll come back to you in a minute, Bobo. So next on the list, now this is one Right, we'll get into it. So it's Alex Anzalone. He is out of contract next year. Now, obviously, the big, belief is that he's going to sign a contract before this season starts. We don't know what's happening with him right now. I ain't using the H word or anything like that because he's not done anything to this point to dispute otherwise. But we're just going to use a theoretical. This is a theoretical thing because we're talking about if it gets to free agency next year. How do they play? Do we want them back? Obviously, the same questions apply here. I think for me with Alex, it's a case of, I do want him to stay here. I think, for the most part, he's quite healthy. Obviously, freak injury last year, but his value to this team is absolutely immense. And I still think we will benefit from at least one more year of him starting full-time after this one to help mentor Jack to his potential before you make the trade-off there. Obviously, he needs to have a fully healthy year here. Obviously, if he starts getting hurt again, then you start to worry, age 32, the body breaking down a bit, the injuries piling up. The way he plays is not suited to staying very healthy because he just hits. But, I think for me, Alex, I do want him to stay longer, providing he has a healthy year. And theoretically, if the deal doesn't get done now, I will be offering him one next year if the season's healthy and he carries on playing the way he's done.
Yeah, same. You need to talk about the value of him to the defense. Just look what happened after he got injured. It's why I'm still wearing the jersey I wore that particular day, but I still have flashbacks to, trying to celebrate my 25th birthday, or 26th birthday in relative happiness, Sunday night football against the Bills. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is going to be great. And then we saw what happened with Josh Allen, Ty Johnson just attacking Ezekiel Turner and all those practice squadders we were playing out at linebacker. His value is immense, but the thing is, because he's had injury problems in the past, obviously I know this year's was frequent, but he has had those injury problems in the past. He has reached that 30-year-old sort of mile mark that everyone seems to hate. I would happily sign him to a one more year deal, but I'm not breaking the bank for it because of, as we just said with Reader, we can't afford to just give him another top 15 linebacker contract. It's got to be something. It's a slight upgrade on this. Probably will have pretty much fully guaranteed deal. But if we're talking anything north of maybe 10 million, I'm not doing it, unfortunately, because we've got to be paying everyone else. But I am on board for signing him, even if it is like we do with this now. And I look down at my phone and we've seen that we've signed him to an extension. I'll be very ecstatic. But if, let's say, just gets free agency, if he's just continues the way he has been, being that leader of the will linebacker position, still our best coverage linebacker, still blitzing nightmare, being relatively injury free, I'm signing him. So yeah, that not like even if it's like 9 million AAV and 8.5 million if it's guaranteed, and the other 500,000 is just like workout or injury incentives, like performance incentives, like all pro, that kind of thing, Super Bowl ring. I'm not complaining at all.
No. I think the general consensus is want to stay. Deal's probably going to get done before the season, so this becomes a non-topic, but he's still in there at the moment, so we need to talk about it. But yeah, Alex, I hope he stays. I hope we've got at least 2 more years of him in this team, because I say, takes the pressure off Jack then. Jack can develop in peace, enjoy his rookie contract. Then we pay him, and he takes on his takes up his job as Green Dot for the rest of his career. Brent just quickly goes, Agnew not getting more consideration is weird. I think that's an NFC North thing, because I know Ian Cunningham at the Bears is also very widely regarded as one of the better assistant GMs in the league. Yeah. He's had interviews for 2 or 3 years now. He's not got a job either, so I don't know whether it's an NFC North thing, whether it's just a lack of GM jobs, etc. But he's certainly not on his own in that bracket. Marmocker goes, Double A showed his effect on the line. Hope he stays. Yeah, it's weird. We said it at the time. The effect was bigger than when Hutch got hurt, which sounds weird to say out loud, but that's where the leadership aspect of it comes in. Like, there's so much. Hutch obviously does the most important job on a defense, which is kill a quarterback, but marshalling the entire defense is another thing altogether, and it's crazy how much he has impact on this team. So while he's healthy and in his prime, we want him on the team. Carlton goes, Levante David, Bobby Wagner, both 35, both on about 9 million per year. Yeah, there are examples. I know Levante David's gone down. The opinion of him on this pod especially has gone down over the years. Bobby, I don't think is certainly not what he used to be, but if you look after yourself well, I think Alex is in better shape than both those two as well. I feel like Alex is in really damn good shape and takes good care of himself, so I think that would endear him over those two as well.
The thing that probably helps them, though, in terms of their defense, is you look at it. So I'm going to use the Commanders and Bobby Wagner as the prime example of this because we saw it ourselves, unfortunately. They don't use their old linebackers like we use Anzalone. Anzalone's our primary blitzer. That's not how... I know, obviously, Tampa's very blitz-heavy, but it's usually the other inside linebacker who blitzes. With the Commanders, it's that dickhead, Frankie Louvu, who's the blitzing linebacker. I will forever... there is someone, again, I'm burying a lead for later. There is one of my guys I'm predicting for us to maybe look at next free agency cycle is also seen as a bit of a dickhead in line circles. But Frankie Louvu has gone from someone I actually really liked as a linebacker to someone that, if we ever sign him, I'm going to be fucking pissed. But that's the thing. Maybe that's something we can draw back this show with Anzalone to maybe help him is draw back on the blitzing a bit, use Malcolm a bit more in that role when he comes back from his ACL. Put a bit more of that on Jack's plate. I know, obviously, we regret the Sam experiment we did with him in the first year of his career here. Maybe use Grant Stewart in that role because he's obviously got special teams ability, so he should be able to blitz as well. Take that off his plate, and probably helps Anzalone. But that's the thing that helps David and Bobby Wagner as a sort of older inside linebackers is that they're not asked to just scream through the A gap and clatter into an offensive lineman or running back or quarterback. They're just there to tackle running backs, cover tight ends and running backs out of the backfield. They're not asked to blitz as much. And then probably I'll say that and I'll look at like their PFF stuff later and actually they use on like 20% of the blitzing stuff and I'll be like, shit.
And we got quite a young linebacker room as well, so you can accommodate a vet in there even if the snaps go down, obviously if the money's right. But Alex is certainly a big one to stay. Next up on the list in terms of AAV, this is a really interesting one for me. Khalif Raymond, obviously he's approaching his 32nd age year, on 5.25 million this year against the cap anyhow. Obviously, well known, Brad has rolled his contract up into this year, all future monies owed to him has been rolled up here. So basically this is his last year here as it stands, and it feels like this is a make or break year for him now. You look at that and you think, they're probably going to cut him with the money he makes. But here's where I stop and pause and think, is this going to be the last year for him? Because for me, he's like a tick. He will dig his head in. He will bury himself into the system, and getting rid of him is incredibly difficult. And I mean that in the most respectful way possible because he works his arse off while he plays here. Dan Campbell absolutely adores him. He loves playing here, and while we maybe didn't see it last year, I guess because of all the playmakers we've got on this team, he does have a Swiss Army knife effect on this team, and we can do a lot with him. And again, if we want a target over the middle of the field, someone who Goff can get to, Goff's got a good rapport with him. It just feels like even though they've rolled the deal up, if anyone is going to be able to, at his age, play his way into maybe another short-term deal here because of the versatility he brings towards the offense, especially if Tesla's not ready to go just yet, it feels like Raymond, he's going to have a good year. I reckon he's probably going to have to rack up, 500, 600, 700 all-purpose scrimmage yards, something like that. But if he does, and he still shows to be a pivot here, I'm not sure this is it for him. I do foresee a future where he comes back, and I know he's very much a locker room guy, and the age won't concern him because of the role he plays. It's not solely based on speed. I don't know, what do you reckon with Khalif? Do you reckon they've done it because this year is the last, or do you think there is still potentially a future here for him?
It is, and you've overlooked the kind of thing that I was going to say is the thing that will help him stay here. It's the special teams.
I kind of say versatility, so
versatility, but it's
not using the S. I'm not using the special teams word. That's a dirty word to me.
Exactly. Well, for me, I embrace it wholeheartedly. He is still one of the best punt returners in the league, and again, bearing the lead for later. It's my second guy I'm going to discuss is also a special teamer. So, if they don't keep Raymond around, that is going to be who I want to replace him. But if he still shows that ability in special teams, punt returning, if he still is able to, as you say, have that role in offense, perhaps by the end of the year as a wide receiver 5, let's be honest, I hope by then Tesla has kind of overtaken him in snaps, just because of someone else we'll get onto in a bit. I want Tesla to be ready week 1 next year to slot into that wide receiver a free role. But yeah, if you can sort of show that firstly as a gadget guy, think of what the what the Falcons used to do with Cordell Patterson when they had him. I think they still do. But that kind of thing where he's the jet sweep guy, he's the tunnel screen guy, he's the guy that you kind of use for those gadgety plays, while still obviously playing these the Z and Y roles, not so much GX anymore, and still being that special teamer. I'm happy to keep him around, but yeah, it just does seem that both Khalif and the team have come to an understanding that maybe this is his last year on a big deal, and that if he does come back, it will be for a cheaper deal where obviously he won't have such a big role on offense. It will just mostly be the special teams punt returning that you're paying him for. But he is the kind of guy that will be happy with that, because we've got to remember this is a guy who's been a bit of a journeyman in the league. He's gone here, there, and everywhere. Obviously, we picked him up from Tennessee, but I believe he was drafted by the Giants, way back,
Pass.
and then he's moved around the league.
Pass.
Pass on that.
Yeah.
But he's got that. And also, talking of sort of special teamers who got drafted by one team and went somewhere else, shout out to Cleo Pimperton for his return touchdown yesterday.
Yeah. Chippewa Nation, go for it, man! Like the Chippewas, they're doing their thing. So you gotta appreciate that. Just like Zach McKinstry in the baseball, another Chippewa. Chippewas are representing the state of Michigan.
I still want to claim that I had a part in that yesterday. People in our Discord
claim away.
People in the Discord know what I did yesterday to help the Tigers. Let's just say, when I move back to Birmingham, I am so tempted to open up a Little Caesars franchise. Starts doing business at the end of September or start of October.
Yeah, everybody start buying Little Caesars so Chris Illich will take his hand out his ass and pay Tariq Skubal.
Exactly.
That's what we want there.
That £20 I gave him yesterday is surely going to help.
Just need $500 million more, and then potentially we're there for a deal for him. A few comments. Carlton goes, Derek Barnes coming back should help Double A. That's true. Having Barnes back as a Wilson guy helps LA a lot. Brent goes, I love Captain Jack, but the defense declined drastically when AA was out. I say pay the man, he's earned it, absolutely. Conch Baston's in the building. Hope you're doing well. Carlton with an interesting one here. He goes, Love It is Khalif's apprentice. Now, we're talking about Tesla and that been there, but Dominic Lovett and his style of play, Khalif been that mentor for him instead, depending on what happens. But I can, not something I've thought about, but I can dig that. Like, Lovett's quite technical in what he does, and I like to say Raymond's quite technical in what he does. I think they've played. I don't think Dominic's done much like kick return work, etc., or anything like that. But
that's what I'm literally looking at.
Maybe he'll learn. I don't think Lovett did any return work for. Usually, it's the running backs that do the return work for Georgia. He did not. He has never done a return. Actually, no, there's a lie. He has got. Let me just have a look. Sorry, so one of the drawbacks of wearing contacts. Sometimes I have to really squint. He has done 4 punt return. So he's done a little bit
stuff. But only 1 at Georgia, 3 were at Mizzou in 2022. The person I'd be looking at if we're saying that then would be, it's Matt's favourite UDFA receiver, because again, speedy guy, but he has got the return ability.
Oh yeah,
Jacoby Merritt.
It's the no, you're thinking of Krosky Merritt. You're thinking of the double-barreled one from UMass.
Yeah,
you're thinking
that's
of
who I'm thinking of.
Jacoby James. I think something like that. He's such a weird career
Jacoby
for him.
Keeney James.
Yeah,
Jacoby James. He's the one. I think he's done quite a few kick returns in that in his college career, and he's got similar speed. So that's someone I'd be looking at. But yeah, like that's not fun. That's taking away one of my guys for later. That's my whole thing. I was looking for a replacement for Khalif potentially.
Ash, you should be disappointed. Carlton said that Lovett was a gunner. You love your gunners. You should have known better. So.
I know. Yeah, I know he's a gunner. Exactly. Gunners and punt returns are different.
Yeah, you didn't say he was a gunner though.
Yeah, because I was looking particularly for the punt return bit. Yes, he is a gunner, and I do love the gunners. That's why I love Cale Dorsey, who actually we're probably going to get to later.
Probably. I think you're slacking a bit. Marker goes, I think Khalif is one of those players that his value is in several key moments. I think he'll have a very strong year if given the field time. He's a top professional bowler. I think the team should use him more. You know, everyone's focused on Sam and Amon-Ra and especially now J-Mo's broken out. I think you've got this many guys on the field. You start sneaking Khalif on now, and no one's going to give him a second glance. And, you know, that's dangerous. Like, the dude's done it. He's taken some games for us.
Especially since, you know, no one's going to notice him because he's my height.
Oh, well, yeah, true. That is tiny. Teeny tiny.
Exactly.
Fan Man goes Krusty Merritt. It was Krosky Merritt. Did I say Krusty Merritt? That's probably me. Marmarker goes, the thing I like about the older vets, they understand the business of the game and how they fit. Yeah. The good ones adjust quickly and keep grinding. Raymond did. I remember when Raymond came and I was the most blasé, not the most blasé, I was completely blasé about it. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Like that's not going to be a thing in a few years. He's still here. That's why he's earned my respect. Like he has earned his way here, and I know Dan loves him to death.
So did the previous guy as well. I just about remember the comments you made when we first signed Anzalone.
Oh yeah, I do not shy away from a hot and I was not on my own there. That was when Alex had done all right at the Saints, but I think Alex has flourished because of the leadership. I think he's been more of a leader here, and he's been allowed to be more of a leader.
Rather than being behind.
But I think
Demario Davis.
I think if you go back to when Alex came here, and we go back to that time, and we forget everything that's happened, I don't think we predict this is going to happen. I'm just saying, y'all. Right, let's move on. And then certainly another one who I didn't get on with, because he called me out online because I was saying that he was going to be nothing more than a rotational guy here. First time I've ever got in trouble with a Lions player before, and hopefully it'll last. But this is another one who, not begrudgingly, he has earned my respect for what he's done on this team. And this is interesting because of how stacked the room is. But next up on this list, we've got Meek Robertson, about to turn 28 years old, on 4.625 million this year, or that's his effect on the cap this year. Obviously, been here last year, and you know he's won everybody over very quickly with his fierce temperament, his ability to fight and come in this team, and he's smaller. He doesn't say no to anybody, and he had to wait because for the first half of the season, it felt like my prediction about him being a rotation guy was true, and it was, but he eventually got his look into the team more and more, and he earned his opportunity to the point where they couldn't kick him out the team. And you know he's now renowned for the hard-hitting guy that we know. Like, he's a competitor, he's furious, he's fast, you know, he is an absolute unit in there, and he's the reason why our cornerback room is going to be so good this year. Is that veteran depth who could play a starter's role share if we needed him to, and he's maybe not in the top 2 or 3 cornerbacks, but he will still do that for you. Obviously we traded for him, right? We traded for him.
Yep, signed him.
Oh, we signed him.
Signed him first day of free agency last year.
Yeah, we signed him in, but it feels like, again, he's one who fits this culture perfectly. But obviously, we've invested in Rakestraw, we've invested in Arnold, we've now invested in CJ as well, and DJ as well. And obviously, we got a lot of talent in this room right now. And if it feels like if Meek has a really good year, like which we think he might, like this is going to be another where that 4 million doubles or potentially triples. Like if he has a top year, especially because Rakestraw's going to take time to get into the team. You figure Robertson's going to potentially be in front of him. This feels like one where they would absolutely love to keep him, but we're maybe going to struggle like we did last year with Carlton, where he might just play too well for us, and maybe the way we've drafted is, preparing for this. Like, it's maybe going to be the Rakestraw show as of next year, whereas this year Amik's going to get full head of steam to go ahead and earn himself a bag. Probably not here, but if there were a deal to be made, if we could do it, I would love to do it, but I feel like it's in the reader category where no scenario works where he falls in the right bracket for us to be able to keep him here.
Yeah, 100%, and hell, I even think I know where he's going in free agency next year.
Sorry?
I think I know he's going to go in free agency next year. A team who, they've got a damn good cornerback one, and a decentish slot corner.
Oh, are we already talking about the Jets?
The Jets. They signed Brandon Stevens to a 1-year contract. Brandon Stevens is not a good cornerback. If Meek does play well, I could easily see Aaron Glenn going to Woody Johnson, who is now getting some shares in Crystal Palace. Have fun with that, you Londoners. But he's going to go to him and say, get me this guy, because that would be a damn good cornerback trio of Sauce Gardner, Michael Carter if they keep him around in the slot, and then you've got Amik Robertson for a good couple of years, which will help their second or third round rookie from this year that they drafted bed in a bit as well. Get used to how to play in the NFL, because unfortunately the way he played in college ain't going to work in the pros with his speed level. It's a win-win situation.
See, now the theoretical question here is what if Rakestraw doesn't have a good year? Or, I don't know, something goes, like say he gets hurt again and he misses a good chunk of the season, he doesn't play well, and Meek plays full year as a starter. I mean, then I feel like we're in a very tough predicament there. I don't think you want to let him walk out the door. It feels like maybe true. One that you've got to, I don't know, find some money that you don't have for. I feel like it would be dependent. Like, if Rakestraw doesn't earn a starting spot this year and he plays his ass off, I don't know. It's the Lions' nature, the fit of him again. You just feel like they're not going to want to let him leave.
Yeah. Or, here's another hypothetical. Rakestraw comes in and he plays so well at corner, at slot, and then there's enough injuries around the league.
We trade him.
Someone trade him. Trade him at the trade deadline.
I was just thinking that. Possibly. I guess that will be the thing. We got that many. We're possibly going to need to shed somebody as the year goes on if, like you say, Rakestraw's healthy.
And then, because by then, Khalil Dorsey will be back, so it's not like, I know Dorsey's definitely not at the level of a Meek in terms of playing wise, but it's not such a drop off that we're going from like Amik Robertson to what's his name? Like Desmond Trufant.
Yeah.
We're not dropping that far, but there's enough.
And you've still got depth.
Exactly, that's the thing with Amik, where he will be a start. He probably snap one of defense. Actually, no, snap two of defense come week one against the Packers. He will probably be on the field. I'm saying snap two because snap one, I can see us on 1st and 10 going for our usual 4-3 package with Derek Barnes on the field, like we did at the start last year. Think about who Shep is and that. But yeah, he will be the starting slot. But it's such a wide range of outcomes. You're saying he could easily, as you say, be the starter all year, earn himself a big paid packet, and leave us that way. It could be that he just held off. Rachel was just that bad that even if Meek Robson does come down a bit to where he has been for most of his career as a sort of league average corner, then it's the kind of thing of, well, I've played well enough, I want a pay increase, we can't afford it. Or is it we get beaten out by Rakestraw, who you start seeing that things you've got to remember. Hell, I even put my hands up. I was one of them that was kind of mocking him to us at 28 last year with Rakestraw. If he's that good and Amik's just kind of sitting there on the bench, and I know we need depth. We've seen that year after year with this, but if the offer for Amik for a team that has both corners go out is that big that you're like, hang on, we just can't ignore this.
Yeah,
I think it's best for both worlds.
Yeah, like you say, there are a lot here. I think the ideal thing is that he plays well and we find a way. Having 2 rookie contracts on there helps, but because like Carlton says, the cornerback room has value for a few years yet. Unfortunately, you can't do it on a room-by-room basis because we've got that. The trouble is we've got like 7 or 8 league-leading deals already, or top 5 deals. Yeah. It's very tough unless some of these guys start coming off them. And then, you've got the likes of Taylor and that coming up for deals, and it's just very tough. I think we want to keep him if it's financially viable. But I feel like if I'm making bets now, he would be starter for a year, and he would earn. I think Rakestraw's going to struggle to get in the team with him knocking round, but we'll see with that one. But certainly we all love Amik and the attitude he's shown here. Brent goes, Amik the Freak was born to be a lion. He has indeed.
Yes.
Mel Marker goes, he's one tough mother. Yeah, see, he's endeared himself to the fan base. Absolutely, he's endeared himself, and these are the tough ones you've got to do. He's fallen in that bracket. Again, maybe this is all influenced. If we get to a Super Bowl, then maybe these guys come back and ring chase again, and there's so many variables at play. I just don't know. Aaron goes, do you guys think we could have the best secondary in the NFL this year? If Arnold takes a big jump, I could see it.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, right? Because we've
got the best safety duo.
Yeah. You've got a cornerback 1, who's a good
Yeah.
cornerback one.
DJ Reed's really good.
You've got a round one
in
pick.
the slot.
Yeah, you got Amik.
Round one. And then round one pick who is only getting dinged by people because they don't watch and all they see is this penalties to start the year. This is a guy who's asked to play. He's asked to play the second most man coverage snaps of anyone in the league last year at quarterback. And number one was Colton Davis.
Yeah, and what was how many penalties was it after week 6? 1. Like the vast majority of them were in the first 6 weeks. So already, like people are looking at the box score. They're not looking at when it happened. Like that first week and a half, where everyone was going after him. Fine. After that, he was nigh on flawless. And he had some bad reps here. He's in rookie corner. The gauntlet of receivers he went up against last year, like there was DK Metcalf, Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, twice, week after week after week coming up against great guys, and like they put him on him. So like Terrion, I thought had a really good year. Stroud by fire, the dude in a few years' time is, even if this year is not the breakout year, by year 3 or 4, he's going to be one of the best corners in the league. And you say Amik is a above league average, nickel. Like he might even be better than that potentially. Maybe we've not seen him fully in the system, but I don't think it's a stretch to say our secondary could be number one.
It just we just get dinged because we play the most man coverage, so our corners don't get the stats. Like, what would you rather be? Would you rather be our secondary that plays a lot of man coverage, doesn't get the interception pass defenses, or would you rather be the fucking Dallas Cowboys secondary that, might lead the league in team interceptions, like 15 between like Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs and Wanye Thomas, but they also give up the most fucking yards because they're boom and bust. I'd rather be us.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm more happy.
Exactly. And they're a really good run defense unit as well. Like, one of the best you'll come up against. Like, there's a reason we don't give up many yards against the run. And I know the interior gets all the love, but you got to protect them edges as well. You got to hit guys and turn the ball over in the secondary.
Again, go back to, I know this is way back that you're having to go, but go back to, it was the mailbag after we played Seattle last year. And yes, I caused it in the break. Eric and Jeremy looks at the run defense now. Actually, it was that, and in the Vikings game, where again it's like pick on Terrion, but Terrion didn't take the right run defense angles, and we gave up big rushes. That didn't happen in the second half of the season.
No,
that's when it's again underrated, just because all these other corners look good in coverage. Like, oh god, what's his name? The corner who plays opposite Derek Stingley in Houston, who everyone's saying now we should drafted over Terrion.
Christ. Yeah, I know what you mean. It was...
you know who exactly?
Yeah. Sorry, the name's absolutely blanked on me here.
It's blanking my name as well, because I'm brain's going everywhere, but I don't think he had such a good run defense grade. And he's playing in zone where it's much easier to get a run defense grade.
And what we've not said is the depth in our room. You've got Rock Yassin, played a lot of snaps in the NFL. Avonte Maddox, just been to a damn Super Bowl. And not even to mention ours, Khalil Dorsey's been on this team for years and has been, more than adequate when coming on in a rotational role. So, secondary is in a very healthy position. The only thing that's it, Kamari Lassiter. The only thing we can get pinged on is potentially lack of depth at safety right now. That's it.
Yeah.
But I think we've got the guys to rotate in and out there if we need to, which is why I think we've got so many corners. You might just see a few guys drop back and take a few snaps there from time to time just to ease off Brian and that. But, there we go. But yeah, Aaron, we do agree we could have the best secondary in the NFL this year if it goes right. Brent goes, I don't think they will trade Rakestraw. Money decision. They'll not trade Rakestraw. I'm not about trading Amik. If Rakestraw plays really well, then Amik, becomes maybe dispensable. But we don't want to do that, Contrapasson goes, safety 3 is the only soft spot indeed. It is...
Maddox.
Yes. Aaron goes, most important development player on the team is Manu. Loved Decker, but being able to shed his contract would save so much money. Yes, in a cap building sense, Manu is the guy you want there. We'll get to Manu in a little bit, maybe. Brent goes, Manu is the wild card I'm hoping pays off. We all are, because it makes our life a lot easier if he does. Right, let's move it on to the next player. We've got Levi Onwuzurike next on our list. Paid $4 million this year, or he's getting paid $4 million. Obviously coming into his 5th year, we've given him the 1 year prove it deal, and I think with Levi it's just very simply a question of the talent is undeniable, it's the health, can he stay healthy? But he began to answer that last year. He played semi-regularly, had one of the better pressure rates on the team, on a line that got decimated with injury as well, like say when Hutch went down and that. It was not a very easy proposition for him last year, but you began to saw the player that we invested in all those years ago. And obviously, right, he's back here for one more run. They're not going to bring him back here for one more run if they've no intention of bringing him back next year if he plays well.
Yeah.
It's just a case of how well he plays and how much he's asking for when the year's done. But I think this is quite cut and dry with Levi. It's if you play well, especially alongside Reader to start the year to help in Aleem's absence. I know, they're not the same guys, but we need as many DTs playing as possible. If you can get the pressure through the interior to help Hutch as well while we find an edge too. We've brought him back to be a long-term part of this team. If he has a second healthy year, I think that's the big part of this puzzle, but just got to get the stats going the right way as well for Levi.
Yeah, and the one thing that will help him is hopefully this edge room will stay fucking healthy, so we're not having to flex in between free tech and playing the big defensive end role.
Yeah.
Get him just playing that free tech role. I know initially he won't be a starter in inverted commas because I'm very much seeing that our base down package will be at least start the DJ Reader and then Tyler Williams at the three. But on pass rushing downs, Tyleek and Levi's that interior, that's going to be immense. Even if Levi's snap count goes down, as long as he keeps that pressure rate going, maybe gets those sacks, just looks good and stays healthy, isn't missing large stretches of games because of injury. He's gonna ask for a lot. He is gonna ask for a lot because that's the thing. He won't be coming off 1 year of production like Milton Williams really was.
Be 2.
He will be coming off 2 good years of production, second round pick, highly wanted, and he's got that positional versatility. So teams that might be looking for an upgrade at their sort of 3 to 4 defensive end spot. So Tampa, they don't want Logan Hall anymore. They would pay him a packet and a half. So that's the thing. Again, it seems a lot of these guys we discussed so far. They might play themselves out of us being able to play him. Levi's probably the biggest example of that, where he could easily have another injury-prone season and kind of confidence going. He signs for a league minimum deal next season with us or somewhere else. But he could also play out of his mind, maybe get borderline Pro Bowl votes, and then go and get a league-setting defensive tackle contract next off-season. I would not be surprised.
I think the pros and cons with Levi. The pros, I think he owes the team and he knows it. I think that's why he chose to come back this year, because the team showed a lot of faith in him through his injuries. I would like to think that would filter through. And for me, I think if you do give him a deal, you can do a deal where you give him a lot of incentives to earn. You can proper push his wage on by saying, look, okay, we'll give you a fair wage, but we'll give you the chance to earn the money you think you can earn. Obviously, if you play healthy and if you
escalators.
Exactly, things like that. I think that's one of those where you might be able to get away with it with Levi, but I think it's very clear the intention is, as I say, you're not going to bring him back if you're not going to work out a deal potentially for long term. Otherwise, you're just wasting a year. You may as well give it to Wingo. And I think Wingo would be a big part here. I think Wingo's development may go a little hand in hand with this. If you can get Wingo up and running this year, I know they're not the same player, but you're talking about in terms of guys who work on it's bodies. Obviously, you're gonna if Wingo comes out and starts being the disruptor that they say he's going to be and the impact he's going to have, I think then you've got to look at budget constraints and maybe say, right, okay, you can go with him. But outside of that, it's all in his own hands.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say with Wingo is obviously the leg up Levi's got here is that Wingo's also coming off injury.
He is, yeah. This is all theoretically if because Wingo's not going to be ready for start of season.
Exactly, he's not. But that's the leg up Levi has. Because that's the thing. I think Wingo is. I don't know. I'll hold my hands up. I hated that pick when we made it because I just didn't like him. But Wingo's a rotational guy that plays 20-25% of snaps as a pass rushing guy.
Yeah,
that's good enough. But I really hope that the Levi can be kind of that first guy off the bench at free tech, because he deserves it. We've got to bear in mind. I know we are one of the biggest Aleem McNeil lover podcasts going around. The team took Levi over Aleem for a reason.
Yeah, I think straight up, it was the ability to get to the passer. He was more disruptive. And obviously he played a ton of nose at Washington, which he wasn't good at. But,
Stupid.
Yeah, stupid, but on the stat sheet you see nose tackle who's got a ton of sacks because he's got that disruption. I know why they took him over it. But it's quite clear to see the Aleem was the transfers. It's great against the run, and he obviously had the pass rush threat to him as well. He'd just not really been given the chance, you know. And I say that, being an NC State fan, they didn't use him particularly well all the time. So, but yeah, Levi, I just love him. I've just grown to be so fond of him over the years. I hope he does stay, and I think there is a bond between him and the team where they'll work something. I think they do, unless he has just a fantastic year, which in case, great. You go earn your money, Levi. Contrasting goes, Vikings wanted Levi before we re-signed him. I'm glad they didn't. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him in the North. If he leaves next year and goes to Philly or Tampa or something like that, I'm going to cry.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see that at all. Carlton goes, with Levi, it's all about what money he'll accept. Yes, he can't expect lots of guaranteed money with the injury record. Fair. But I think 2 years not injured in this league is... You can go up to say a lot of guys are. Even if you've got injury history, if you're 2 years removed... I think you lose a little bit of that leverage there. Oh, Carlton's trying to push your buttons now. He goes, isn't Wingo like Kalijah Cansey? Beep,
No.
beep, 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 beep.
No.
Ash has already been prodded by a trolley today. Now he's getting the metaphorical rear ending as well. Stop hurting Ash! Stop hurting him!
Exactly. I was he hurt. I was just saying this, and I was just like, hang on, Vikings. So they're trying to get rid of Levi Rodriguez. What's his contract like? I was like, no, they actually drafted him. He's still on his rookie contract.
Oh yeah,
so
he's
not
only
gonna
been in the
get him
league a
unless they cut
couple of
him.
years, so
It's his second year.
Yeah.
That's who I wanted over Wingo. If people have worked out, the shock of the Vikings drafting him did make me ruin my $120 Jared Goff jersey. So extra fuck you to the Vikings for that.
Absolutely. Carlton Woods just put a bullseye up. He's got you. He's got you right where he wants you. You know what? Respect the hustle. I respect the hustle. Next on the list.
Do, yeah.
First of all, guys who's not played here before, as of yet, Roy Lopez, our new nose tackle out of Arizona. $3.5 million this year. We are paying him. Now, my initial thoughts on this, he moves entirely hand in hand with what Broderick Martin does this year.
Yes.
Because we don't really have a true nose on this team outside of Roy right now. And obviously Reed is probably not going to be here next year. So, you know, we've had that discussion already. The only candidate who could potentially be starting nose tackle on this roster here this time next year is Broderick. If he has a breakout year 3 and we're going to use him in the middle there. You know, whether we go and try and draft someone high next year, I don't know. Obviously Ty Leak's in, but it's not Ty Leak's thing. I feel like it depends. Roy Lopez has to have a very solid year. You know, take a lot of reps in there to help keep the other guys fresh. Be good run stopping, because obviously that's what we first and foremost need to do. But I think this is entirely a conversation with what happens with Broderick. If Broderick plays well, I don't think Roy Lopez can do anything to get an extension here, because it'll be Broderick's. We'll pay Broderick instead. Don't know if you have any different feelings, but obviously we've not played him yet, so what do we think?
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, when we signed Lopez, the first thing that came to mind is they've signed him to push Broderick. If Broderick does not shout in camp, Lopez plays better, Broderick's gone. Because yeah, it's true. Like, he's the only guy that can really currently on the roster can really do it. I know obviously I do have half in mind that the team does want to kind of mould Tyreek in the image of DJ Reader, and then we look back this time next year and it'll kind of be that's what's happening. We move to more of a traditional 4-3 where we don't really have a nose. Like, yeah, Aleem and Tyreek can kind of slide into that role if we need them to, but they're more free techs and we work that way. But you just look and it's Broderick. Like, I know Pat O'Connor played there for a bit for us last year, but he's more of a in image of everyone else where he can flex out to defensive end and that. Maybe Chris Smith, Miles Adams, they're on the roster, but they're practice squatters at best. So yeah, if it is very much one of these two will be on the roster to start the year, Lopez and Broderick.
Yeah.
And they have to kind of look good in relief of DJ Reader when we get to that point rotating in for them to stick around, because honestly, with the way nose tackles are in this league, and I say this again, bearing the lead for later, I think one of my guys would maybe fill that nose tackle role. They've got to look pretty damn good to stick around because nose tackles are just kind of getting phased out now in the league in a way. Like, unless you're damn good at it, like a Vita Vea, like DJ Reader has been for a while.
Kenny Clark.
Hakeem Hicks when he was still
before
good.
Frank Ragnow ended his career.
Exactly. Most of the time now, you're like Roy Lopez. It's happened this season where you sign 1 year deals and you just move throughout the league wherever you need them.
Yeah,
you need it.
You can't be one-dimensional anymore, can you? You can be a really good run
Exactly.
stuffer, but I guess you've got to have a little bit of pass rush ability about you as well. That's what makes Aleem so dangerous.
Yeah.
You've got the pass rush ability as well. So, Roy, it's between him and Broderick for me. We'll see. Right, talking of pushing Ash's buttons, there is no player that Ash's button gets pushed more by here, but he's in his last year. Tim Patrick, wide receiver. He'll be 33 this time next year. He's on a princely $2.5 million on the roster this year, and we talk about having Tesla on the roster. We've got Khalif fighting for his life here, and then obviously we've got a good group of guys in there, love it, etc. I guess the question is here: is there anything Tim Patrick can do this year to earn him a contract with this team beyond this year, given the youngsters we've got in there, where he plays, etc.? Do you think there's a chance that he might come back?
Two things need to happen. One, he needs to have a damn good year. Like, I know I did really like what he did for us last year, but with the now hopefully full chemistry with Goff and that, the receptions, the yards, the touchdowns, they need to come up a bit because he did have a good couple of weeks where receiving wise got the stats we needed, but then it kind of fell off and he was back to more of that. He was running stuff to open things up for other people, wasn't really catching the ball that much. We need to get a few more of those like traditional box store stats. The other thing that needs to happen, Isaac Tesla needs to not really hit the ground running at X, because that's the only guy that can really threaten Patrick's role right now in this offense is Tesla, because as much as we love Khalif, he's not a traditional X. Dominic Lovett, not a traditional X. Krosky Merritt, the guy we mentioned earlier, not a Keeney James. Not a traditional X. Jacoby Meeks, who we signed as a UDFA to maybe sweeten the pot for a certain edge rusher to come back, kind of is traditional X, but isn't the fastest guy.
He's not played that much either.
Hasn't played much either. Exactly. There's not a guy who right now on the roster other than Patrick and maybe Tesla if he works out that can play that role, which again, to bear the lead, is why my first guy is a guy who can play X. But we need just someone, because we saw with the integration of Patrick in the system what that X receiver does. Yes, okay, they're not exactly going to go and get Calvin Johnson, even Kenny Golladay numbers. They're probably only going to get 40 receptions for like 600 yards and 6-7 touchdowns. But it's more what them running the intermediate digs, what them running the deep routes, what their run blocking does for the rest of the offense is what you do. And the fact that Patrick can do that, yeah, and if he, as we saw last year, and he had a relatively healthy year, continue with that onto this year, and yet Tesla just doesn't hit the ground running, because we've got to admit, Tesla, as much as he's got that prototypical X build and the athletic traits, he just hasn't played it.
He'll not play
Arkansas
there this
basically
year.
Use him as.
He'll not play there this year, I don't think. I don't think he's going to play that much, to be fair. He's too much to learn.
He won't. Exactly. So that's the only thing that can happen is unless, Tesla really hits the ground when he just picks up that X route tree like that, which he can do. There were flashes of him running those intermediate digs and that at Arkansas when he was asked to do it. But it's very unlikely. So, there's a good chance that Patrick could be around for another 1 year deal next year, or someone of that ilk, because it's just a big part in this offense. I know it's not the traditional guy that you associate with Goff. Usually you put him with the Cooper Kupps, the Amon Ra's, the Sam Laportes, the guys who are shifty route runners who can get open that way, or speedy guys like Khalif who can get open via speed. But you still just need that big red zone target on the outside, that when it's a third and long, when it's a red zone thing, when it's a shot into the end zone, you need that guy to go and get the jump ball, because it's not really Goff's thing, but if you take that away from your sort of arsenal, it's like kind of taking away one of your pitches in baseball. If the other team knows you can't throw like a slider, They're going to just make it so you have to throw sliders.
Don't jokingly say that, because like the Tigers will lose a pitcher if you say that. Like, such as their injury. Have you seen their injury list of pitchers right now? There's no more they can afford to lose. They're down to the last 3, so let's not try and do that. But
I mean, exactly. Montero's starting tonight. Like,
Goff's never really had an X here, though. We say he doesn't, but like, what did he have? Terrell Williams when he got here, who got concussed day 1. Rashad Perryman, who didn't even make the roster.
He's not exactly. It's been
like he's not actually. Khalif was playing X. He's never really had.
Khalif was playing X,
especially one we've not pumped like major draft stock into or major money. So
exactly, it's been Reynolds when we signed him, and then Patrick. Like in LA, he obviously had Reynolds and he had Robert Woods.
So Patrick, for me, what he needs to do. He needs to be making some clutch plays on the perimeter.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to show that he can offer something to this team that the rest of them can't. And there's an out for Goff if Goff needs it. If the middle of the field is slammed, he can take a one-on-one and he can go up there and he can do something with it. I think he's going to need, like you say, show that skill set that the others can't. If he can't do that, then he'll be expendable. So I do think there potentially is a route. It may be a cheaper route as well. Again, Detroit's given him the chance to resurrect his career post-injury, so there might be, respect on that side as well. We will see with that. Few comments, quickly going back to Roy. Lopez is 28 in August, so 29 next year. Should be the same money. As Ash mentioned, his ceiling's probably capped by what he does, so the money's probably going to stay consistent, so he probably will get him the same. Carlton goes... RE nose tackle. Chris Smith is £316. Miles Adam is £290. Neither of them are starting a nose tackle next year. No, we've seen enough of Chris Smith at this point. He's there just because we've got literally nobody else. But yeah, nose tackle. It doesn't matter about the weight necessarily. You get some good nose tackles who are sub 300. It's all about technique. You've got good technique. You can be as big or small as you want. Debt Fan Man goes Mahogany, Manu, Ratledge, Sewell, all 24 years old. Yeah, the offensive line potentially young as hook. Trouble is you're going to have to pay them all at the same time, but that's a problem for a different day. Hey ho. Carlton goes other wide receivers are Ronnie Bell and Malik Taylor. No idea if X's. I believe Ronnie
Bell's Z. Malik Taylor can flip between X and Z. I want to say he's about 6. I want to say 6'2".
Is this Packers Malik Taylor? Was this Packers one?
Packers Malik Taylor.
I feel like they didn't use him on the outside so much, but I think there's no one with skill who's going to.
He's 6'1", 220 pounds.
Yeah, I don't think either of those are going to bully Patrick off the roster at the X position. I think we can safely say that. Brent goes, Patrick is going to ball out and grab one more bag. No rookie is going to be better than him until maybe half a season in for sure. Wide receivers take time to gel.
Well, to go back to Malik Taylor, yeah, he's definitely not going to be starting the next year. And I know why.
Oh, has he been cut?
No. His career high in terms of seasonal stats: 6 receptions, 66 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Oh, he's on a mulligan.
You want him starting X?
He's on a mulligan or whatever they call it. 66 for 6 in cricket. So yeah. But yeah, Brent said Patrick may grab one more bag. Like, there's going to be one, that's it. And I don't think it'll be a multi-year deal. I think it will be 1-year deals henceforth until they really invest in that position. Right, let's move it on because we've still got a few guys to go through. Been chatting for a while, but it's a good thing. I'm going to group the next two together. We're going to talk about the defensive ends eventually. 2 out of contract this year. Marcus Davenport going into age 30 year, $2.5 million. We're paying him this year. We're paying him nothing because he can't stay healthy. And then Joshua Pascal, the one that we've talked about quite a bit here, just getting a smidge under $2 million a year. The last year on his rookie deal. I think this is, I can say copy paste with these two because regardless of the role they play, etc. I think the only way either of these is going to see a new contract in Detroit is if these are the two guys we're looking to step up as edge 2. Like a viable, bona fide threat on the other end, a healthy, bona fide threat on the other end to Aiden. I feel like, again, these two's fates go hand in hand. One of these two has to perform very well this year. I think average years for either of them get them canned, and they will, because they've put a lot of faith in them both this year with the lack of investment made in this offseason. It's a big year for the pair of them, and somebody, or both of them, have got to go big for me.
Yeah, I'd give Pascal a slight leg up on being back, partly because, well, we drafted him, but also because he just offers that bit more versatility. So, hell, I even predicted it way back when we drafted him. That I think it was Brad who mentioned in the owners' meeting earlier this year they want to see him more on the inside, which will play to his strengths. Because that's the thing that can help him is, okay, yes, as you have had it out about him quite a few times, he doesn't get you the flashy pressures and sacks. But the one thing he can do is run, defend, hold the edge. So even if he does well enough at that, yeah, he's not he's not a liability in pass rushing downs where, teams are just easily just balling him off with one guy and then that's it. If he just shows the same kind of level of flash up, like pass rushing downs where he does get a few pressures and then just has that good run defense, I could see him sticking around as edge 3-4 in the future on a low cost deal because he can take that. Like, if he needs starting for a game, he can do that. He won't exactly light the world on fire, but he can spot start for you. And as just a rotational player on base downs as a run defender, you can get much worse. But with Davenport, it is very much he needs to show out because this is last chance saloon. I know the injury he had last year was a freak injury with a broken arm, but he needs to show the faith. He needs to repay the faith the team has put in him because otherwise, it's just going to be another Manuel Mosley where, it was nice to re-sign you, see what you can do, but you just can't stay healthy. Then you need to just go retire, mate. Like, because he did that sort of little stretch we had where him and Aiden were playing together was really damn good. Like that week 2 game, that's why Aiden managed to go off in week 2 because Davenport was around.
Yeah.
We need to see that more.
Yeah, we do. We need to see a big increase from the pair. Like, we need a bookend edge. We just do. And, I think neither of them have done, even if they have good years, I don't think neither of them have done enough to command a mega bag next year. I think they've done enough to command themselves like a league average deal, and then if they do it 2 years in a row. It may not surprise me if Pascal goes the way of Levi. I know he's not had quite the injury extent. I know he's had a stop-start career here, and they may go, right, well, you're our guy. 1 more year. We'll pay you, $4.5 million, whatever Levi's getting this year, with incentives in there to do it. But one of them needs to step up. If Davenport gets one more injury, then I'd just cut his ass and just be done with it. But yeah, those 2 big years, entirely dependent on what they do, but they've got to play well. That's the only way. Anything else, and the pair of them can get gone. Right, we're moving down into a lot more of the rotational players now. I'm just going to quickly go down the list for guys who do maybe have a bit more of a future, just because they're still on the rookie deals. But the really big one left under this, in terms of a guy who's probably going to be here a long time potentially, is Rodrigo. It's Rodrigo's contract here. Nobody's talking about Rodrigo and his contract, and I think I can safely say, outside of Glover Quinn, Malcolm Rodriguez is the Lion I love most in my life. I don't know what it is, but he's just like, I love Glover Quinn. Like, he is my idol. I just absolutely adore him to death. But Malcolm, he's taken that ever since his days at Oklahoma State. I fell in love with him there. Fell in love when we drafted him, and I just think he is. We talk about Amon-Ra being the epitome of this. We talk about all the other guys being the epitome. He's the true epitome. Round 6 pick. A very late pick, fighting his way into a starting spot and not letting go and showing the correct attitude. Dropped for nearly a full season, comes into the playoffs and plays like a fucking beast. Just does everything you want to and more, and to ask him to. For me, as long as he comes back from the injury this year healthy and, has shown no noticeable signs of regression in the physical state of him, this is the most surefire contract I would ever hand out to anybody. I don't think he's going to command a ton. I think he's a rotational linebacker piece. He's your linebacker 3-4 type. You will give him that sort of money. But for me, there's absolutely no question here. If he's back healthy, there is nothing he could do that could convince me not to sign him unless he literally graded 0.
My only thing is that I think he's good enough to earn a starting role somewhere else. So if let's say someone else, so the next guy that was going to be up anyway when we were discussing was Grant Stewart, the linebacker we signed from the Colts, who, it's less than $2 million, it's a $1.7 million deal. If Stewart plays well enough to stick around and sort of takes over that role that Malcolm had as the special teams ace, first guy off the bench at all the linebacker positions, but Malcolm still plays well enough that showing he's over the injury. Someone else who's seen all that tape he put out in his rookie year, maybe was high on him in the draft, could have a look at him. Like, I know we discussed him earlier with Levante David, but imagine Levante David and Malcolm Rodriguez next to each other.
I mean, yeah. I mean, Aaron Glenn will know all about him as well.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know what the linebacker situation is like over there, but you'll find room for him.
We know the Bears like signing their linebackers as well.
They do. You know what? I think that is a nice criticism in a way that maybe he plays out of a deal, but I guess then it comes back to the whole Anzalone thing. If we don't pay Anzalone, maybe there's some spare money for Rodrigo.
That's what I'd be hoping. I like him as well. Like,
yeah, as much as I say, like, Amon-Ra is probably the standard bearer for, like, because you can say Penne and that. Penne's a number 7 overall pick. I think the true definition of blue collar grit is Malcolm from where he came from. Like, he is the poster child, and I know everybody loves him. His aunt is the loveliest person in the world. She keeps talking to me on Twitter. She talks to all Lions Nation on Twitter. She's absolutely lovely. And you see it in here, Malcolm Rodriguez, very much a Lion. Brent Rodrigo needs to stay in the D. Like, these guys really, really, really like him, and I do. So I'm just praying the injury's not like it came at the worst time for us.
It really did.
Because what you lose when you take Rodrigo out of the team, the biggest thing is you lose 1.5 hearts. Like, he is heart, he is effort, he is anything you need him to do. Like, he'll even still play special teams. He will do anything that's asked of him. That is the big miss. But yeah, I want Rodrigo to stay more than anybody else. I want Rodrigo on this team, so hopefully that all works well for him. Just going back to other bits, Fan Man goes, I've got Tesla replacing Patrick by mid-season, following the Amon-Ra week 9-ish growth trajectory. Yeah, I mean, potentially one of those there. Carlton goes, Pascal and Hassanin, alternate snaps depending on down and distance. Yeah, I guess they'll have packages.
My only thing with that will be is it's the, and I hate to bring this up because again, this was I think out of all the topics we've ever discussed on this podcast, this was the biggest sticking point between me and Ant. Well, that just creates a James Houston situation where teams will see Hassanin on the field and will just run to his side. Yeah, like, you can't make it that obvious. What I would love to see is, again, it's bringing up the multiple 3-4 shit, having a package where Hassanin plays Sam linebacker on the outside of Pascal.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing, because I think we discussed this last week. Like, Pascal's future might be, if they go to a 3-man front, he plays at the 5 tech. Yeah. That's like going to be a perfect position for him. You're down and distance. Pascal, he's the bigger guy against the run on the early downs. You switch to a 4-man front, you bring Hassanin in. You do it that way. I don't think you bring Hassanin into a 3-man front, especially not I love him. I love the enthusiasm, but he's a long-ass way to go yet. Like, a long-ass way to go. Generally, with these rookies and the late ones, if they're pass rush specialists, just let them go out and be pass rush specialists. It's like in college. You see college guys, like the freshmen, they'll absolutely ball out year one, get a ton of sacks, and then next year you'll be like, they've got half the sacks, but it's like they've been learning the run game. Like, the sacks naturally go down because you teach them the full part of the game. So, I think it's the same in the NFL with Hassanin. Let him go get a few sacks this year, give him the run stuff next year, do it that way. But yeah, I think Pascal's future is at 5 tech in a 3-man front. So it's an idea, but yeah. Carlton goes, after last year, not sure how a backup linebacker gets a better offer from another team. We'll value him more with his intangibles. Yeah, I think we pay him more than any other. We wouldn't lose Malk in free agency, I don't think, if it just came down to, like, if someone didn't value him as a starter, if this was 32 teams offering him the same money, we'd offer him more to keep him.
It'll be a Levi situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to Mile Marker, who's tipped us $10 on there. He goes, free agents, great topic, and he set off Matt's music in my ears. That scares the hell out of me. I don't know what Matt's done. He puts music in. I have no idea what's going on, but hey-ho, that's what it is. I can only control my thumbnails at the bottom, which I'm very proud of this week, as always. Colin goes, look at the money Stewart got as a comparison. You kind of mentioned Stewart there already, and let's go into these guys to finish. Because obviously I bought Rodrigo in because Rodrigo's been a starter for us. The rest of them, obviously we've either not seen them play or they are rotational. So the other I'll go through them a few at a time. So we got Grant Stewart in there, 1.7 million this year for him, just approaching 28 years old. You've got Avonte Maddox, he's approaching 31. We're giving him 1.4 million. And then we got Al-Qadim Muhammad as well. He's going to be 32 next year. He's 31 at the minute. 1.4 million we're paying him. And then we'll go down to Dan Skipper as well. He's on 1.4 million as well. But an interesting little group there. Muhammad is the most intriguing one, right? You kind of figure ages against him, but he's outplaying his contract at the minute. And you've got to figure, if he fits into the rotation again like last year and provides what he does, I think you would take the age out of the equation. I think there's a very real possibility that he's going to come back, providing what he does. Because, again, I don't think the money's going to go astronomical with him. Again, he's seeing more action than he has here in a long time. This just feels like a good fit if he keeps in the rotation as he has done.
Yeah, 100%. Because for me, he's right now, if you look at the depth chart, he's the first guy off the bench when we want to rotate Hutch at that rush end spot, just because it's his skill set. So I can see it. And the good thing is, obviously, as you mentioned, like him, Maddox, and Skipper all look to be on veteran minimum contracts. It's not going to get much more expensive than that unless he has a wild breakout and has and this is, I can't remember his name, but the Falcons edge rusher who had 6 sacks against the Patriots. Unless he has that kind of game, but consistent.
Was it Uche?
No. I'll look it up in a bit. But that has that kind of breakout kind of season, which I don't expect, unfortunately.
No.
But yeah, as a nice rotational bit, maybe someone that takes Hasselin under his shoulder, because under his wing, put his hands over his shoulder kind of thing, because that's kind of Hasselneed's upside maybe in the NFL, is that kind of rotational rush end kind of guy who can play sort of the wide 9 and all that. Probably isn't the best against the run, but gets you flashy sacks and that. That's what Hasselin can be, and for where we took Hasselin, that'll be damn good value. Yeah. But the guy actually out of that group that I'm most intrigued about in terms of his role is Maddox. Because currently he's our safety free. He's listed by the staff as one of our backup slot cornerbacks, and he's got that leadership to maybe help Rakestraw grow into that slot cornerback role. He can play single high, or he can play pretty much across the secondary. And, he brings something that honestly not a lot of players on the team have right now, and that's the experience of winning a Super Bowl. Yeah, a little thing to push us over the edge. It's kind of, I know, again, I'm take it off the bingo sheet and bringing up Villa here. It's something that maybe might have helped us a bit more last year, and kind of it would have maybe helped Villa in the big moments last year. Just having more of those guys who've been there, done that, won the big moments consistently. Just having that little tiny bit of edge of knowing how to prepare for those things might help us. So if Maddox can kind of show out, he's not going to, I'm not saying should become a starter for us, because that's bad news, but as the first guy off the bench in free safety packages, maybe doing some special teams, if he shows well enough there and he's happy to come back for a relatively cheap deal next year, I could see it happening. And of course, the little thing that definitely pushes over the edge, he's from Detroit.
If you're playing Ash Bingo at home, I think we just need a Florida State reference now for a full house. I think we've gone through most of them this evening. The thing is, you missed one. So.
You missed it. You missed the Florida State reference earlier.
Oh god damn! All right, everybody, you got full house. The Ash Bingo card.
Who was the Jets rookie, cornerback they drafted in the second round?
As a rare Thomas.
Exactly.
Oh god. Okay, full house. Everybody, bingo's done. We all win. Carlton goes 6 sacks.
Adrian Claiborne.
Yeah, about to say Carlton put that in the chat there. Matt, don't ever apologise for putting the music in. It just startles me, but it's a fun. Keeps me awake. Keeps me going. Brent goes, Eagles fan says Maddox is great and plays safety, but seems to be injured too much. Well, I mean, he'll be alright here because he'll be in a rotation. I mean, for me, this one's very easy. I've got a low, medium, and a potentially high. I think Dan Skipper's the low potential of coming back, because I think eventually Manu's going to kick him off the roster. Yeah. He's going to have to. The second Manu develops, Skipper's gone, as far as I'm concerned. Maddox might be in the middle, depending on what we do with safety. He's the medium level. I think Stewart, maybe, if Rodrigo gets a promotion, then Stewart might get a promotion, providing he plays well to Rodrigo's spot, as you said. I think that, for me, is the levels of coming back. But I think Skip is not long for this team now. I think we're literally just waiting on Manu, and then we're done. Marker goes, Lions got, what, 5 players who've been to a Super Bowl. That's maybe one for the resident statistician. How many Lions players have been to a Super Bowl?
Give me a second.
This feels like something you'd have in your arsenal already. Meanwhile, I'll go on to the...
Yeah.
I'll go through the next guys here. So, also hitting free agency, we've got Coyote Awashika, approaching age 28. He's on 1.4 million this year. Pat O'Connor, defensive end, 1.3. Kenny Yeboah, tight end, 1.3 million this year. Hearing a lot of chit chat about him and that tight end 3 spot. And then we got Craig Reynolds at running back, 1.3 there. So Awashika, O'Connor, Yeboah, Reynolds. I mean, again, for me, this feels like Yeboah, if he takes tight end 3 and he's worth, he's happy taking the money he gets with it, he might stay a bit longer. You feel like Pat's going to be too far out the rotation when Hutch is back, that maybe that might be his time over. Awashika, it depends entirely on the rookies and who they take as the vet with them, but I've kind of grown fond of him. And he's one of those guys you hope you've got on the team just in case you need him. And then Craig, I don't know with Craig anymore, but I would lean towards not. But I think for me, maybe Awashika, maybe Yeboah. The other 2 I don't know about.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for my spot track to reload. Like, Craig is someone I was very much looking for someone to replace with. Like, kind of my 5 guys to replace, didn't really find anyone. But you'd hope Varkey takes that role. Like, I will state my claim as one of the biggest Varkey fans in the world, not known as Eric Schlitt. Hopefully he takes that role. We find someone who can do the kick returning thing, because that's the big thing that really helps Craig right now, is the fact that he is one of our primary kick returners. That kind of helps him. But yeah, for the others, it's... I don't know, Awashika's probably the other guy that maybe says he's got the biggest chance to stick around, but it just depends how this training camp goes for him at guard, because if the other guys beat him out and he is kind of below Natane Muti and, Gurkun shows out at centre and he kind of loses that spot, then another team will snap him up as their, sort of backup guard. But, yeah, O'Connor, depth right now, Yeboah, I know we can battle out for tight end 3, but tight end right now is one of those positions I am looking at, especially at 3. Again, with one of the guys I'm looking at for free agency next year. Tight end 3, I think, is going to become, again, one of these positions, like I said with No Stackle earlier, where we maybe start rotating just 3 players year after year, because, yeah, they play a bit of a role in our offense, but it's not exactly, a key part. What would you rather pay, tight end 3 or wide receiver 4? I know which I'd pick.
All I say is right now, don't look at the draft for tight ends next year. It's absolutely fucking horrendous. Mm-hmm. So, anyhow, the rest of the UFAs we've got, I'm just going to leave them out because obviously we've been going a while and we need to talk about guys we might want to bring in. So, the other UFAs we got Tristan Colon Castillo, the guard. They bought him in this offseason. Kyle Allen at quarterback. Zach Cunningham at inside linebacker. Ezekiel Turner at outside linebacker. Anthony Pittman at inside linebacker. Rock Yassin at corner. Natane Muti at guard. Malik Taylor at wide receiver. Shane Zylstra at tight end. Stanley Thomas Oliver at corner. Tom Kennedy. He's just always going to be here. We shouldn't give up at this point. Jamarco Jones at tackle. Devard Wilson at cornerback. Miles Adams at defensive end. And then obviously there's Rodrigo as well. They're the rest of the unrestricted free agents. Anyone in that list there who you think can extend their stay into next season depending on what goes on? I'm going to guess there's one name in here right away you're going to say, because you just said him a minute ago.
Go on, who is it?
Muti.
Yes. Natane, the thing that really pushes him for me, and I probably will be I am probably the biggest fan of him in the Lions podcasting / media world, just because I think he's so underrated in how fans see him right now, because this is a guy who in training camp last year before the injury was pushing for a starting role. He was supposedly repping over Glasgow sometimes at left guard, despite his fit being more of a right guard. He started for the Raiders back when they actually were known as a good offensive line with when they had Colton Miller at the top of his game and that, and he just fits that right guard role so well that I wouldn't be surprised if week 1 he's our starter at right guard, and then kind of takes the Awashika role where when whoever takes over at right guard, whether it's the other 2 guy we drafted this year, if Glasgow goes there or Ratledge goes there, he's just a backup. He's just got the profile that I look for as offensive lineman. He's a nasty motherfucker who can just push people to the ground. But everyone, and then maybe the other guy, maybe say has a chance of sticking around as depth is Rocky Sin, just because he's been there, done that as a cornerback. He knows how to play man coverage, does do special teams.
Okay.
And then Jamarco Jones, he should be our swing tackle.
That was what I was about to say. I think Jamarco Jones could force his way into Skip's role again. We need a swing tackle. Like that is without question at this point. If you can play swing tackle, you can get on this roster. So I do hope he gets a go, especially now he's been here a year. We'll see. Carlton corrects me. Devard Wilson got cut after 1 day injured. Blame Spot Track. He's on Spot Rack's list. Blame them, not me.
Because he's reverted to because no one picked him.
Oh, is he back on? Is he technically on the roster still?
Yeah.
Is he on the 93?
No, he's on our IR. So he's on our IR.
I take my Bob Tron back.
I've worked it out though. The Super Bowl question.
Is 5 correct?
5 is correct. 1 offensive player, 4 defenders.
Oh well, obviously the offensive one's obvious because bloody quarterback's been there.
Yep, Goff. The other 4 defenders.
Well, one's Maddox, obviously.
One's Maddox. There's 1 more DB and then 2 defensive linemen.
Hang on. Davenport's not been, has he? I don't think Medine's. I don't think. Who are we looking at here? Mile Marker's got 1. Pat O'Connor with the Bucks.
Yep.
So we've got 2 more, right? We've got another DB.
Another DB and another defensive lineman.
So who are the DBs are in here? Obviously the safeties are ours. Corner, Amik. Amik was with the Raiders. Amik's definitely not. No, I'm just saying him in my head. Amik's definitely not because he's been with the Raiders. DJ. DJ's not got one. Oh, has DJ got one?
DJ Reed played. DJ Reed.
Oh, I was thinking DJ Reed.
DJ Reed with the 49ers the first time they made it against the Chiefs.
Yeah, okay. I can't think of the last one. No,
DJ Reed. DJ Reed
the
Bengals when they played. The Rams.
Damn it! Yeah. No, you're right. DJ. It should be obvious. 2 of them basically named the same. So. Oh, we'll
exactly.
Go 5.
You should have picked it when I accidentally said DJ Reed and said DJ Reed.
Yeah. No, you're right. And well done, Mile Marker. You got one as well. That's the obscure one, Pat O'Connor. Kudos to knowing that one. You might win our trivia quiz next week and knock Brent off the top of the leaderboard because we can't have a Browns fan there. So you know.
I'm saying nothing.
Carlton goes, did Awashika get a ring? All right, so list them all together. So the 5 who've been to a Super Bowl for the Lions: Jared Goff, DJ Reed, DJ Reader, Avonte Maddox, and Pat O'Connor. That's the 5.
Because Awashika was with the Eagles 21-22.
So Pat O'Connor and Avonte Maddox are the only ones with rings, right? The other 3 lost.
Yes.
DJ Reader lost. Yeah. Jared Goff lost. And
DJ Reed lost.
DJ Reed lost against the Chiefs. So we've got 5 Super Bowlers, 2 Super Bowl rings. There we go. Mm-hmm. That is that one discovered there. So yeah, that's them listed together. Carlton goes, did Awashika get a ring? I'm assuming not.
No, because he was with the Eagles in 21-22.
They didn't make it there. But he's not been to a Super Bowl either because they didn't get to one then, did they?
Don't believe so.
Could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to see. Anywho, sorry. In terms of getting back to our free agents, we've got 2 restricted free agents this year. We've got wide receiver Ronnie Bell, and we've got Trevor Nowaski. I know Trevor's been a potential favourite out there. Obviously restricted, unrestricted. We could get them back. I mean, I guess we'd say what would Nowaski have to do for you to want you to give him a new deal? I'm assuming Ronnie Bell we're going to say no to because he's just not really played and we've got so much there. But could Nowaski do anything to earn a larger term deal off you here?
Not just be a reliable backup and just be happy to take that sort of low cost deal to stick around as the backup to Barnes. As the reason Arashika didn't qualify for one, because the Eagles didn't make it in 2022, he wasn't on the roster at that point.
Oh, okay.
He didn't ask for a ring.
Okay, but good suggestion. Good suggestion, but not quite. And then we'll finish off with the exclusive rights free agents. Defensive tackle Raekwon Williams. Defensive tackle Chris Smith, safety Lauren Strickland, defensive end Mitchell Agude, safety Eric Hallett, D-end Isaac Ukwu, centre Kingsley Aguakun, Deron Gilbert, the outside linebacker, Michael Neese, the tackle, Maurice Norris, the safety. I've deliberately left one off this list, so don't get at me, because he deserves his own little category.
He does,
Any one of the RFAs who you think maybe could force their way in this year? Because I think potentially, depending on what happens at safety, Aguakun could force his way onto the roster if centres are battling and he's able to get himself in. They keep mentioning his name. There is potential for Aguakun there. Outside of that, I think it might be Lauren Strickland given the safety sitch, but anyone else?
Yeah, well, you took my two. Obviously, I've got a stand. I will stand for Agude as kind of that rotational edge, like just bottom of the roster guy, because he just can do that. He can play that kind of Sam role, but maybe that's needless now with Hassanen's draft in. But yeah, Strickland, just because he has been on the roster before, safety 4, plays special teams, and then Gurkhan, as much as I hate him because he's a stinky gator, the situation at centre just gives him such an easy chance to make it, even as a backup guy. So they're the two really, other than the guy who, yes, you left because he deserves his own category, and I'm going to preempt it and say that, yeah, if he does play well, he should play well enough this season, hopefully, that he will sign a nice big contract that, at least triples the money he's currently making.
My high, by the way, it says Michael Neese is a tackle. I swear he's a centre. I could be wrong.
He is an offensive lineman. So yeah, he's listed for us as a centre, but I think he has played tackle for the Cowboys when they first got him. It's one of those really weird ones. It's like how they listed they list some players like outside linebacker just because they've played one snap of it before.
Oh, okay.
They're very weird with their spot tracker, weird with their positional stuff. It's like they need to do what Madden's done this year and update their positional.
They really do. My mind's going to hell. Brent here says, I love Nowaski, but he's a fringe player because we're so deep. And the childish part of me, because he's saying we're going so deep, is just hey ho. But yeah. The Lions have come a long way indeed. He'd have been a starter for us 4 years ago when this happened. And then the final exclusive rights free agent this year, I don't know, let me know in the comments if you want him or not. I think this might be a tough one to call. Kicker Jake Bates. I know that'll be a very contentious one as to whether people want to bring him back or not. I know there's a lot of people umming and ahhing about this, but if a gun's put to our head and we're forced to make a decision, do we reckon that Jake Bates is going to get himself a deal which is probably a lot more than what a usually RFA earns at this point next year?
Yeah, he's going to have to, isn't he? Because he owes the Levi Stadium turf some alimony, so some baby Danny money. So he's got to step up and earn himself that big contract. Yeah, I'm saying that I totally don't have, because I'm that immature. On my watch, I do have like a rotational pictures. One of them is just a screenshot of Jake Bates making love to the turf. So because I'm that immature.
We're all immature.
I do have the Brian Branch.
never grow up all the way. Always keep a part of the inner child in front of you. That's what makes you a whole person. So yeah. Malbach, Carlton goes, doesn't your defined position affect your contract value? Could you just imagine Michael Neese has a good year, walks into the office with Brad Holmes and goes, right, Brad, spot track here, I'm a tackle, so pay me like a tackle, please. Not a centre, like a tackle.
You'd be surprised stuff like that's supposed to happen before, where players and agents have used how
Brad's
Madden or that have to, because it's always, as you know, there's always a dispute around franchise tag season about what certain players get classed as. And yes, some of them have been that immature, like Woody Johnson trying to pick players using Madden to do that, to turn up and say, well, this lists me as this, you got to pay me as it.
I could just imagine, Michael Neese walking into Brad Holmes' office going, it says I'm a tackle here, Brad, can you pay me as such? And then Brad's just got like a big widescreen up going, Michael Neese centre highlights just up there, just like a complete enough to let you know, a little skit.
Yes.
Just like, yeah, that's an interesting an inside tackle position you face. I've not heard of that one before. That's what they should call themselves, centres. should just like they should have a
Middle
rule and
tackles.
law. They're now going to call themselves inside tackles. Like, that's the new rule. They're not centres anymore. They're inside tackles. So people just see the tackle.
But then stop talking about people seeing people's tackles.
Oh God, here right. We've hit a thing here. So right, that is the free agency class for the Lions this year. That is them all done and dusted. So hopefully you enjoyed that. We've gone through a lot of that. Who we bring back, etc. Now to finish this off, and if you've got any questions, get them in. 'Cause this is our last little bit. Obviously, the NFL is going to have a lot of free agents next year. Obviously, a lot is going to change between now and then. A lot of people went on, but we just wanted to compile a little list of guys who we will be interested in bringing into the Lions. If the stars align and we need these guys, etc. Who are the names who are piquing our interest right now? Who is in at this point? Very quickly, Mark goes, "Oh no, not Bates, must we?" I know, it's terrible.
I know.
It's terrible. What would you pay him, by the way? I know I never said this. Kicker contract. What would we pay him? Can we? Because he's in ERFA, can we pay him cheap? Is ERFA where we can just pay them the ERFA tender?
Yeah, we can just give him the RFA tender and
But we're not mean like that, are we?
Exactly, that's what I was about to say. So I'd say at least 3 mil. I'm just going to quickly look up and see what that would rank. So 3 mil right now in terms of AAV would rank. Hell, 3 mil would rank him currently middle of the pack. So quickers that are currently getting more than 3 million AAV right now. Kyra Santos, Chase McLaughlin, Will Lutz, Matt Gay, Jason Sanders, Daniel Carlson, Mac McPherson, Young Koku, Chris Boswell, Tyler Bass, Brandon McManus, Jason Myers, Justin Hopkins, Cabe Fairburn, Graham Gano, Cameron Dicker, Jake Elliott, Harrison Butker.
I think about 2 players on that list have a right to call themselves better than Jake Bates.
Yeah.
I think he's probably going to... Oh, I don't know. I think they're going to pay him more than he's... They're not just going to pay him ERFA. That'd be mean to him, I think. Exactly. I think they've got to pay him some more. We'll see. Brent goes, pretty sure Sheila doesn't play Madden. I've just got this image in my head now of her and Dan sitting in one of the common rooms playing Madden on their time off. You got Dan there with Sheila and they're both playing Madden together. That is a wholesome picture. We should ask AI. Can we ask AI to draw that? Dan Campbell and Sheila Ford Hemp sat on a couch playing Madden together.
See, we've got pretty much the close to that last season, didn't we? With the schedule announcement video.
Yeah. I need to see that now. Inside the den, this is the content we want. We want to see Sheila and Dan playing Madden with one another in a room somewhere.
I just want inside the den. I love today that they've, as I alluded to earlier, they really say, the weekly thing they're doing, guess the offense, guess the defense.
Yeah.
One of the first replies I saw underneath it was release inside the den or the bunny gets it, and it's just the screenshot of what's his name, John Malkovich from Con Air. And I was just I had to like it. I was just yes.
Oh, I love that.
Someone gets it.
Absolutely love that. Right, anyhow, let's get on with these lists. So, free agents. There are a lot of free agents from other teams.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's have a look at this. So, I'm going to start off here. So, free agency I'm looking at potentially next year. This is not because I loved him in college and I want a resurrection story here, but I'm looking at quarterback here. If Hendon Hooker is not the answer this year, and there's going to be a lot of questions. He might not even make the roster this year. There's a free agent next year I want to bring in because he can play in the league. He has played in the league. He's got experience. He's got a lot of problems that Jared Goff had when he was younger. And I think that we could repair him like that. But I would take Davis Mills from Houston. He is sat behind CJ Stroud there. He's obviously never going to play there again as a starter. But for me, he has shown enough as a starting level quarterback in this league that if you need him to come in a situation where Jared Goff will get hurt, I think it's time we properly invested in it. If we're not going to invest in Hooker, enough with the Kyle Allens and guys like this, I think Davis Mills is young enough. And I think a lot of the stuff with Goff, his issue is confidence. Someone believing in him, all these little mistakes that can be wheedled out his game. And actually, when all is said and done, he's got a big frame, he's got a pretty good arm, he's pretty accurate. And I don't think he's going to cost you the world either. Hell, if we're struggling during the season, I might even consider a trade for him. Throw them a 7th or something their way to take him on this year and get him in this year. But Davis Mills is one I'd be targeting big time if he gets there next year.
And who was his head coach in college?
Oh, Shizer, yes. His
Our
head coach
new
is
passing
here.
game called.
I didn't actually think of that. But you're right. I don't know why I didn't make that connection. You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like the team's afraid of signing former Texans backup quarterbacks because Kyle Allen.
I thought you were about to say Chase Daniel then, and I was going to be really upset with you because I don't want to be remembered about that.
Oh, God, yeah. True. And, fine. Jeff Driscoll.
Now you've upset me. Right, you just plunged the knife in. You saw the knife was there and you went...
Oh. Well...
We don't remember these guys. No, we're not going to do this. Who's your guy? Who was a free agent you
That's
bring
what I was going to say. To plunge the knife even further, I am currently wearing the jersey of the player that this person infamously pissed off a lot of Lions fans by fighting with last year. He is someone who... And also hates because he ruined his fantasy season last year.
Oh, fuck's
This
sake.
is a wide receiver who... Last year graded at 83.1 from PFF, has had very good run blocking grades, and has that dog in him. And I do love him. I'm talking about hopefully former San Francisco 49er ex-receiver Juwan Jennings.
Of course you would, right? Yeah.
I love Juwan Jennings.
No one wants to throw to Deebo Samuel. No one wants to throw to Deebo Samuel. They just throw to Juwan Jennings all the time. Ruin my fantasy team. That's right. I get right, though. I looked at this list and I did think about Juwan because... Again, forgive me if I'm wrong, plays out in the X a little bit?
Yeah, he's an ex-receiver for them, yeah.
Questionable haircut, but apart from that...
True, yeah.
I agree. I think, it depends. I guess it's the season he has. I guess they've paid Ayuk.
What happens with... Yeah.
And I guess if he's cheap enough that, we could get him, it's probably cheap enough so they could get him as well. But I like the call. I think that's a good one to have.
If Patrick doesn't work out and Tesla doesn't step up as we want him to, just bringing in Jennings as a 1-2 year deal just to give Tesla that extra time to season. And, he does... And, I know obviously he did piss off our fans by fighting with Kirby last year, and he did piss you off obviously tanking your fantasy season, but he just fits that role of what we want for an X perfectly. The run blocking, the ability to run the routes we like, and the fact he doesn't care that he's not the wide receiver 1 or 2 in an offense. He's happy being that wide receiver 3 who does all the dirty work and maybe catches sometimes 1 pass a game, but sometimes can, if you need him to, catch 8-9 passes a game.
Yeah.
Plus, come on, Dan would love him. All he has to do is just every time he needs a bit of energy in training camp, Dan can just channel his inner pimp, Bill Parcells, and go to Juwan.
Did you just say inner pimp? I'm sure you said he was controlling his inner pimp.
His inner Bill Parcells, I was trying to say, but then I mixed up Parcells and Bill together to make pimp for some reason. But
so he's letting out his inner pimp. Well done.
His inner pimp. He's doing what he didn't get convicted for. But no, let's his inner Bill Parcells come out and just say to Juwan, right, need a bit of energy in this training camp. You, Kirby, it's time, right? Start slapping each other. Let's have our annual training camp fight to get the energy up.
What sort of camp are they going to? Start slapping one another? This could be a very different camp to what we're expecting. So, anywho, Brian Shook, quickly to add on to the whole Dan and Sheila thing goes. You got to add that picture with Rod Wood going out to get monsters and Takis for both of them. So now we've got Sheila Ford Hemp and Dan Campbell sat on a couch playing Madden while Rod Wood sticks his head round the door with a can of Monster in his hand, who wants tropical fizz? Something. This is going to be a masterpiece. This is going to go in the Louvre when all is said and done. We're going to create some wonderful AI pictures. That should be a challenge. We've all got to create an AI picture of something Lions related. And this is mine. I'm claiming control over this one. This is my idea, with a little bit of help from Brian Shook.
Though, to obviously to help us in case of any future sponsorships, other energy drink providers are available.
Oh, welcome. Right, in terms of other free agents we've got out there, don't know whether he's going to be available, but depending on what happens with Alex, there is we talk about the coverage need with our linebackers. We talk about a do-it-all linebacker. There was one who came out 4 years ago now. He's in the last year of his contract on a really rough team. Whether I'm going to pay him or not, I don't know. But Devin Lloyd is a free agent going into next year. Ooh. And there is still a big part of me. I've watched him play. Obviously, there have been bits on him. The development's not fully been there, but I still see the do-it-all coverage guy who came out of Utah those years ago, who I think has just been on a rough-ass team who needs a new start. And if we're not going to pay Alex, we're going to have a bit of money spare over, I would put my money towards Devin Lloyd. I would put my money at having a go at him. Hell, again, if the Jags don't want him, I'd look to maybe trade and bring him in a little early and get him on this roster. But for me, I think Devin Lloyd is one I certainly would be going after to help our potential linebacker 3 issue, depending on what happens with Alex. But I'm looking out for him big time there. Ash, who else have you got?
I do like Devin Lloyd. Another receiver, and I kind of teased this earlier with the whole Khalif discussion. If Khalif, something happened, basically we don't like what Khalif's done this year, but we still need someone to come in and play that kind of role on offense while also providing special teams. There's someone out there who's going to be a free agent this year again. Same kind of physical profile as Khalif, 5'8", 162 pounds. Came out in 2022 in the draft 4th round pick by the Pittsburgh Steelers out of Memphis. I'm talking about Calvin Austin III. Like, if you want to get younger at the Khalif role,
exactly,
they don't want him there. He's not going to fit with A-Rod. They're not going to like him, so he's probably not going to get much snaps. And he might look out in special teams. But if you want to get younger at that sort of special teams position, because let's say I don't want to put it out there, but Khalif has a drop off or something, there's your perfect reliable replacement for Khalif. Well, yeah, if you want to draft a guy, sign Austin to 1 year, 1 year deal, 2 year deal, draft someone maybe, or just get Lovett behind Calvin to learn, and then by the time you get round to the end of Lovett's contract, he's learned the special teams, he can do it, and then he shows out and you can sign him for cheap, and so keep it fourth, because that's the thing. You've got, as much as I love special teams, we're at the point now where we need to make sure the roster is full of playable players, and then the special teams is nice and cheap. As I say, when we just said that I want to triple Jake Bates' contract, but you get my point.
He's worth it. Like, a leg that size, you pay good for a big leg. So, giggity. Right, so obviously I've got a few edges on here as well, because obviously edge is going to be the continuing topic of conversation depending on what goes on there. But we talk about needing, like Hutch needing a friend on that line to pair him with. But, and I'm going to test your knowledge here, how about we give him one of his actual friends to play with, who's out of contract this year?
Colts?
No, he was Minnesota. You're on the right lines. Broke his leg, hurt himself during his pro day, hurt his stock, went to a very good organisation. He's never been able to quite get to where they wanted him to. I know this is a big year for him, but he was the next big thing who came out at edge at Michigan after Hutch. Had a really big year.
Oh, Scottish. David Ajabo.
You've just let down you've just let down Scotland there by not knowing that. But I'm thinking,
no, it's because I didn't know Ajabo was a free agent.
He's been out that long. Hutch has already,
yeah.
He wasn't a first round. He wasn't a first round pick. He doesn't have a fifth round. He doesn't have a 5th year option to use like Hutch does.
That's it,
he's on the last year of his deal. Well, technically Hutch isn't. That's where you're at.
There you go. But David, I can see it, especially if we make the move. He's experienced at 3-4.
See, Ajabo is a speed rusher. Obviously, he's got the power about him as well, but he's more just it's been the injuries which have held him back. But he's looked good in Spurs there, and I don't want to hear anyone in the chat saying I'm a Michigan homer like Dan does. I'm just saying this from a point of view where I think that makes a lot of sense here. He's still young. Still got years on the clock. And again, we got a good D-line coach here to be able to bring the best out of him.
Yeah.
I think Ajabo could be one you potentially look at as a value thing, like we're doing with Davenport right now. You're looking for value versus history versus what they can potentially give you. But Ajabo has shown that he can be the top guy in this league. He's shown the flashes. So I've got Ajabo on there. It's funny you mentioned the other one from Indy because he's on here as well. Quitty Pay's on there. Now, obviously, Quitty Pay suits he's a slightly bigger guy. He will maybe fit the other end a little bit better there. But I know, again, Quitty Pay has shown good flashes at Indy. They're not paid him yet. I don't know if he's been the guy they wanted him to be with where they drafted him. But we just need him to be good. And I think potentially if they don't want to pay him, because they've got a lot of contracts to pay this year as well, Indy do, and Who knows what's going on with their quarterback, whether their team's rebuilding or it's contending or whatnot. But I think Quitty pays in that conversation as well. The other one I had was Jalen Phillips out of Miami.
That would be it. Yes.
That was the other one. Now that depends, because if he has a great year at Miami, he'll probably price himself out. But as it stands, I don't think he's out of our price bracket right now. So I'll put Jalen Phillips in there.
That's a shout.
Yeah. Who else you got? Because that's mainly the guys I've looked at. I did have Kenneth Murray out of Dallas, but I'd prefer Devin Lloyd. So, is there anyone else who takes your interest?
Yeah. Well, one we mentioned earlier, the younger Hayward, who was selected again by the Steelers in 22, 6th round pick out of Michigan State. Connor Hayward as a tight end 3.
You just made
nice
Brent's
and
ears
cheap.
burn.
I'm more of a Michigan State guy anyway, because they're called the Spartans, so that's more my street. Like, I literally have a Greek helmet. I have a Greek helmet tattooed on me.
Him, not me, not guilty.
I have a Michigan. I will go and get my Michigan State hoodie. I'll say that as if I don't.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm going to really upset Brent with the with my O-line analysis between Michigan and Notre Dame. It's not even close. But I'm going to upset him with that one. Those were the two hypothetical offensive lines I put in the chat earlier in Discord. The best.
I knew it. I knew it. I saw it, and I didn't comment, but I was like,
the best offensive line that Notre Dame can muster this century, the last 25 years, to the best one Michigan can.
I knew it.
For me, Notre Dame wins hands down. And it's got
I'll
better backups.
That I saw. I worked out because you obviously Graham and Quentin Nelson that stuck it out of me. I knew it. That's why I didn't comment, because I'm like, I'm not getting involved. Even though Notre Dame is the right answer. But yeah, Connor Hayward, tight end 3, fullback if we want to use that role in our offense still, which I know is getting phased out. He can do it though, and he'll be nice and cheap. And we know that Dan fucking loves him. Because we were on the Senior Bowl this year. He was on our team. Dan did speak very highly of him. We just unfortunately couldn't draft him. To bring him in as a nice young guy to play tight end 3 for us. My other 2 guys, I've got a potential nose tackle to replace, to be a rotational guy to replace DJ Reader. And again, it's from the 2022 draft class. And I know it's someone you really liked.
Keanu Benton?
No.
Oh!
Out of
Baltimore.
Travis Jones.
Yes, do it.
I know he's not great. I know he's not exactly graded out well by PFF, but as a rotational nose tackle with some pass rushing upside, with Casey Rogers, one of the best defensive line coaches in the league, maybe we can just get like we said with someone maybe being intrigued by Malcolm, maybe just thinking they can get a bit more out of him. Travis Jones. That would be, imagine a sort of interior rotation: Lee McNeil, Tyreek Williams, Levi Onwuzurike, Travis Jones.
I love that. I would absolutely adore that. And Baltimore have a ton of contracts to pay out this year. They're going to pay Tyler Linderbaum. They've got to pay a ton of people, so they can't afford them all. Yeah. I love that. Get Travis back.
And then my last guy, I teased this to you before the pre-show, before we went live. 2019. UDFA out of Wyoming by the Jacksonville Jaguars, has played for them ever since, and Ryan McCluskey absolutely loves him. To come and be our safety 3 if Maddox doesn't work out? Have you worked it out?
No, I haven't. Oh God. No, I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it. Not going to get it.
Andrew Wingard.
Oh, in that case, no chance I get that.
The past 3 seasons, he has not graded out less than 76 by PFF, and has he has not missed more than 11% of his tackles in that time. Tackle machine. He's got a couple of PBUs on his resume, so the past couple of years he's got 3, which doesn't seem a lot, but that's a sort of hard-hitting, strong safety, can play down in the box, play that kind of role that we're kind of lost with Iffy going to Miami. But just that guy just to sit in the box while Branch and Kirby and the secondary do their things, it'd be nice and cheap, and it'd be a veteran presence in that room as well. Just to, kind of help them be there. And I know he's been stuck on that Jackson Hill, like you're saying with Devin Lloyd. So just to maybe free him from that and, get him playing for a team that will like him for what he does, his work ethic, and hopefully give him a ring.
All right, there we go. Have you anyone else on your list, or that about?
That's it. I try to avoid the edges because for me, I think edge and interior, and I also avoided interior offensive line because I think those, again, I know we said it going into this draft, they're the positions I'm pressing the buttons for the first couple of days of the draft.
And we've kind of stayed away from big money signings because I don't think we're going to spend much money in free agency next year. Like, we're going to save it because we've got a lot of savings to make next year. So yeah, that is everything there in terms of the Lions free agents this year. Some of the free agents we're looking at from around the rest of the NFL. So that's the main thing there. If anyone has any other questions or anything they want to ask us before we get out of here, let us know. Right, Brent, we're going to have this discussion, and I'm going to have this discussion with everyone else in here as well. So technically it's a college pod thing, but it's also an NFL pod thing. I made the widely held assumption the other week that Notre Dame are one of the best schools for producing NFL offensive linemen, which I think is, a view that's very reasonable. Brent clapped back that he reckons Michigan are better at being able to do it. So what I've done, I created I've done the last 25 years. I'm not going to go back 100 years. Like, in recent history, the last 25 years, who are the best players, or what is the best offensive line that both teams have churned out into the NFL in terms of NFL level production. Put them together, and I think one is better than the other. So if we're going to do Notre Dame's offensive line from basically this millennium, since 2000, at tackle, you've got Zach Martin, who's going into the Hall of Fame, and you've got Ronnie Stanley, who probably would be going to the Hall of Fame if not for injuries. At guard, you've got Quentin Nelson, who's going to the Hall of Fame as one of the best guards of all time. You've got Aaron Banks, who has just been paid a ton of money by the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, his career's not up yet, but he's earned a good wedge. He's a good guard. And then at centre, you've got John Sullivan. He was the centre for Minnesota for quite a few years. Had over 100 appearances in the NFL. That's the best five you can muster from Notre Dame. I say 2 Hall of Famers potentially in there. From Michigan, your tackles, you've got Jeff Backus, very well known to the Lions. Taylor Lewan. Then at guard, you've got Steve Hutchinson, who is already in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. You've got Michael Onwenu from the Patriots, who is a damn good guard on his day, one of the best guards in his league. At centre, you've got Graham Glasgow. So, Zach Martin, Quentin Nelson, John Sullivan, Aaron Banks, and Ronnie Stanley against Jeff Backus, Steve Hutchinson, Graham Glasgow, Michael Onwenu, and Taylor Lewan. That, for me, is the best 5 I can make out of them all. I think you've got 2 Hall of Famers on that Notre Dame line. Potentially a third with Ronnie Stanley. So...
And the thing is, I wouldn't be surprised if in a couple of years' time, Aaron Banks is off that list, Zach Martin slots into right guard where he plays in the league, and Joe Alt goes in at left tackle.
Potentially, yeah. Like, we can't do the new guys in the league just yet. This is about NFL caliber production. Don't get me wrong, Michigan's line's good. Backus played for the Lions forever. Taylor Lewan's a damn good tackle. Glasgow's been around forever. Onwenu is great. And then Hutchinson's in the Hall of Fame. Those are 2 very good offensive lines. I just think Notre Dame's is a little bit better. We couldn't even put Mike McGlinchey in Notre Dame. Like, he would be the actual right tackle. Like, Stanley did play right tackle for them for a little bit, but McGlinchey's been one of the best right tackles in the league for a long time, before injury got to him. So, just for me, in the last 25 years, how I look at it, I think Notre Dame has a slightly better pipeline that has done it at the NFL level. Obviously, you've had injuries to some players. There was the Michigan tackle in 2007. Was it Jake Foote or something like that? But he would have gone to the Hall of Fame if he'd have been healthy his entire career, but cut his time short there. So I'm not doing it just to be a pain in the neck, Brent. I have done my research. I think that Notre Dame's line is better. And just out of curiosity, I did do Boston College, because I talk about Boston College all the time, about them being a treasure trove of linemen. In the 2000s, the line I can make for Boston College, at tackle, you got Anthony Costanzo, who was a great left tackle for the Colts until he was about 35. A Lions one, Gosder Cherilus, played here for many, many, many a year. I always thought Gosder was a decent one there. At guards, you've got Chris Lindstrom, who is currently one of the best guards in the NFL. You've got Chris Snee. He was a 2-time Super Bowl winner with the Giants, part of that team that beat the Patriots' ass down in that career. think he's on the verge of the Hall of Fame there. And then at centre you've got Dan Coppen, who was in the Patriots 2000s All Patriots team, like best centre there. Played about 6 or 7 years. So for me, Boston College can put together. I think Costanzo goes into the Hall of Fame potentially. I think Lindstrom goes into the Hall of Fame potentially. Snee is on the verge of the Hall of Fame potentially. So I think Boston College has got a shout in there as well, but I don't know. I think those are some really good offensive lines. But Notre Dame could have some new guys on there soon. But so could Michigan. So there we go. That one's done and dusted. So yeah, Brent, I do put my research into it. I'm not just anti-Michigan bias. Right, anything else anyone wants to ask? I'll just go through the next shows first. So obviously we'll be back on Wednesday, probably at latest Thursday, with the college pod. Just deciding what we're going to do for that now. That's my next thing to do. So, but we will be back for that. Anything you want us to do, let us know. We shall do that for you. And then obviously we'll be back next week on the Main Lines podcast on the Monday. It's the day training camp starts the next Tuesday, so it'll be the day before training camp starts. So we'll probably do a training camp preview, take a look at all the battles we're looking at, etc., and we'll do that. And then we're hoping maybe as well to get a quiz done, if we got Matt and his program back for that he uses. Do come up and show up for it, and do try and do well, because last time out Brent won it. Brent is our resident Cleveland Browns fan who won a Detroit Lions quiz, because he's just that knowledgeable about it all. So we all need to group together as one to be able to bring him down. What time on Wednesday? Probably 7:30, 2:30 your time, usual time. I think we're only late last week because I was late getting the show done. So but yeah, we'll see with that one. But it should be usual time, mile marker. Again, not sure what I'm doing yet, but we'll get round to it. Carlton goes, how about from ESPN, Wisconsin notable players? Joe Thomas, Gabe Karimi, Kevin Zeitler, Travis Frederick, Michael Dietler, David Edwards. That is a good line. That is a very good line. I think that we might have to do this as a project at some point. See who can knock out the best, group units over this period, because there's some really good ones. People would not take a second look at Wisconsin. I'd love to see a Wisconsin defense. I reckon that'd be pretty good. I reckon that'd be damn good.
To be fair, we already know what college will win best defensive back room.
Ohio State. Oh, what? You're going to take claim for Jair? Not Jair. Is it Jair? No, it's what's the big?
Louisville.
It's who's the big ass diva? Who's yours? It's the other one, isn't it? Jalen Ramsey.
The one who got traded. Yeah.
Jalen Ramsey, big ass diva there. DBU. Well, I just think that's a massive insult to Illinois and what they did with Kirby. I thought you'd been a big Kirby stan, that'd stick up for Illinois, but I must have been wrong. You must not be the Kirby fan I thought you were.
One player doth not make a unit.
Witherspoon. By the time Witherspoon's done, he'll be up there. I don't know. I'm intrigued.
Who's had the best NFL career so far, Devin Witherspoon or Jalen Ramsey?
Devin Witherspoon. No, of course not. But we're going to do this. So I think that'll be an interesting project to have, to see some of these great lines that have come out from the. Because we do talk about these schools being a treasure trove of talent, but actually are they? Because I think sometimes these things can be misconstrued. We assume they are, but it doesn't always translate to the NFL. All about how it translates. Yeah, that's just about. Is there anything else you want to mention before we get out of here? Because I think we're out of questions now.
No, not really. Just it was fun this weekend telling people about our new favourite college player with his really good middle name.
Oh, ESPN.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is. Oh, I've got the music. There we go. Thank you, Brent. Brent goes, great show. F the Bears. Appreciate you, Brent, the $2 super chat. Appreciate you all being in this evening chatting with us. Say, hope you've enjoyed it all, and say, yeah, it's been good fun. So yeah, it just remains for me to thank Ash, to thank all you guys. And I say, if you got anything you want us to do on the college pod on Wednesday, let me know. I will get that in there for you. And then yeah, we'll see you on the next one. But take care. Have a great day. We shall see you again very soon. In fact, actually, quickly before we do, you can find us at Roar of the Lions UK all over the internet. So if you want to find us, type us in, you will find us there. Spread the word, as always. We appreciate the hell out of you all. Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Go press the